Indeed. Exciting. Is everyone on Roll20 and that?
Yeah, boy.
Okay.
See, you've...
Someone's had their jelly beans.
Yeah.
I just went for a walk, so I am properly... I've got oxygen running through me at the moment.
Yeah, it's the strangest things give you thrills at the moment, isn't it? Like today, someone shook my hand. It was surreal, utterly
I've seen
surreal. I
someone,
haven't
yeah.
done it in months.
How was
I know
It's disgusting.
I know
was
I
it
should
to have human contact again.
It is very odd. I will admit that. Like I was just saying, I was finishing up at work. Said, oh yeah, right. So that's me done. I'll see you in a couple of weeks when I'm next here. He goes, yeah, okay. Sticks his hand out for a handshake, and like muscle memory kicked in. I shook his hand, and afterwards I was like, what? What was that? What did I just do? It really freaked me out. Like I was sat in my van afterwards, like forgot what it's like to touch another human being. I haven't done it in so long. I've only been bumping elbows. So.
Did a little tear begin to show?
Yeah. It's a shame. He was very strange, which I think might be why he was the one to give me the handshake, not, I don't know, a normal person. But oh well, we manage. So just gonna sort something out very quick. Nicely done. So, last session, if we will recall, I will move us over to the big map so I can do a lovely bit of drawing very quick. Move the "you are here" sign. What am I like? So I will Indiana Jones this a little bit. At the start of last session, or actually end of last session, the one before last session, you were in Gravesford after having chatted to a number of people within the town, sort of setting up routes, letting people know that you're here, and that the big, scary, spiky turtle man is nothing to be afraid of. You are just a person like them. After having this lovely chat, you went off to deal with a goblin problem after a promise of money per goblin ear. While on the way there, of course, you attempted to find a way out of getting a decent, honest wage, as any sane person would, and tried to figure out how to cheat your way into getting them to pay the same amount of money for the same ear, like 2 or 3 times, I believe it was. Unfortunately, that the idea was shot down, but nevertheless, you persisted. You headed off to go and deal with some goblins, headed inside what was on the front, if you recall. See if you can find a picture that I sent into chat. I really should set them up as handouts on Roll20 so I don't have to scroll up for like 3 days to bloody find them again. Because we missed a week, so there's been weeks upon weeks. There we go. All right. So above the door there was the original.
Ow.
Sorry. Cat trying to get involved. Above the.
I can tell that your cat loves you.
Oh, carry on.
I'll wait till the cat has, from what I can sound, has stopped trying to kill you. I don't know if that's entirely accurate, but anyway, so you arrived at an abandoned, what looked like a dwarvish settlement, being ruins of houses about the place, just the leftovers of walls, and a big stone sign, mix the words together, above the sort of central doorway saying Urgir in dwarvish, that had been painted over by the inhabitants, who you quickly found out were goblins, saying Rocktooth Gobos only, Humies and Stone Tooths zog off. Obviously, in a goblin voice. I haven't got myself warmed up just yet, because goblin voices do need a bit of warming up. You headed inside, slaughtered all of them, expertly so. After some technical difficulties, revealed to you the intricacies of the the map itself on one person's end, receiving visions from beyond, I think was what you flavored it as, Mark. You found out how many there were. The
Oh yes, my
last
patron.
session when your patron just informing you of everything that was in there, nothing else. You, after clearing out the goblins, left, found some tracks indicating that maybe someone else had arrived on the outside of your of the area you were fighting in, but no trace of them so far yet. All you could tell that they were boots, quite large boots, but just boots, nothing too specific. You also rescued a quote-unquote hostage. It's unclear why they kept him and not just killed him. There are some questions to be asked, obviously. One, Monsieur Ulbrich, if I'm not mistaken. Yes. A grizzled old man who had had his armor and weapons taken off of him. He's got broken arm. Not doing too great, but noble and trying his best to put on a brave face. You headed back to Graversford with how many goblin ears do you have now? I know someone put it in a bag somewhere. I remember it being written down.
We have way more than 2 that's on the sheet.
Okay. Somewhere there is.
It's we've got 12 in total, I think.
12. I'll edit that in the sheet.
Oh, hang on.
Have you been speaking to family recently, Ellie?
No way.
Because you sound super well.
Yeah, I was going to say, does someone else want to say it and not me?
I'm knackered. Leave me.
Oh, that's best.
Swear to God.
So, you arrive back at Graversford. It is gone sunset. It is dark out. I don't have a night version of this map, unfortunately. Oh, actually, I could make one. I'll do that now. I'll move you back over. You arrived back, saw some changes in the town. A number of horses outside the Half Hand Inn, the inn that you're not staying at, that is relatively... It's not where the locals go. It's like the Travelodge you get on the side of the motorway, which is like technically in your town, but it's not really in your town because no one from your town has any reason to go there. And yeah, some horses tied up outside. You arrive outside the Reluctant Pig, and you can tell there are people inside. The lights are on. There's various sounds of conversation. However, it doesn't seem as lively, maybe a bit more muted than the first time you arrived here. In that scenario, it was a lot more like you could hear maybe there was a bard singing on the inside and telling everyone of stories from lands far from here. Now there is just sort of it sounds like a pub, but like around 6 p.m. on a Thursday. So there's some people like that have gone there for a pub dinner or something, but it's not bustling by any means. Otherwise, I believe that is everything. If I'm not mistaken, Honu is stood outside the Town Master's Hall waiting for someone to open the door because he doesn't understand the concept of opening hours with 12 goblin ears in hand, if I'm remembering correctly. But otherwise, the choice is yours. What would you like to do?
Are there any markings on these horses to like identify who they belong to, perhaps?
The ones by the other inn, yeah. On the way over, make a perception check. See if you can identify any like a logo hanging off it or anything like that. With an Elepthon. I'm just mixing all my words together. My brain's going faster. Yeah, Elepthon. Tell you what, I'm just gonna like end up merging all the words in a sentence into one and just like what do you do? So with an 11 perception, you see, they're like the tack and bridle of these horses. It's not uniform by any means. You would know with your experiences if it's like an organized military group. They're of the same, make and model. Like all police cars are the same make and model of car, that sort of thing. They don't look like war horses, but they don't look like work horses. They are riding horses, and they don't look of any one uniform shape or size, either the horses or the packs and things on them. You can see there are places for saddlebags, but they have been removed. Presumably, the people who are riding them have taken those saddlebags off. Interestingly, though, the half hand inn, where these horses are like tied up, is very quiet. Like maybe one or two voices coming from inside, and there's a lot more than one or two voices of people. No, one or two voices worth of horses outside the half hand inn, but there's only one or two voices coming from the half hand inn. So it indicates they're probably elsewhere.
Okay. That's fine. I don't think Hanu would do much with that.
Okay. So if I assume then you'll head inside to the reluctant pig. So you open up the door. Creaks open. There's no one's waiting there for you with a gun. You see a number of individuals that you have met before, just people from around the town. There is the people from your caravan, notably Ashy Pete. He's there, tucked away in the corner, with some other people from said caravan. The owner, or the co-owner, I suppose, is behind the bar, and her daughter running around all over the place, serving drinks. But again, she seems a bit more. She seems like she's quite excited and running around as normal. And her mum every now and again will be like, "Calm down, calm down, calm down." Everyone make a perception check. Right, 10, 18, 14. So this actually makes quite a lot of sense. Umra, while you were, sorry, 1 second. I think we might have a visitor. So while while everyone else was wandering around town meeting everyone, you were sat in the Reluctant Pig, if you recall, getting to know people, sort of keeping an eye, finding out who the locals are. But you recognize a lot of the people in here, and you've seen them come in and out, and because you were kind of on top of it, that you're like straight away like, oh, I saw this person here on Wednesday at 2 o'clock and that sort of thing. But you do notice there is a solitary group of people over in the eastern side, tucked away in the corner. 6 of them. They are wearing traveling clothes with, it looks like quite bulky traveling clothes. I think it's the best you can get. And there are quite brazenly weapons on their side, and they are eating like pigs. They are just whole chicken drumstick, eat the whole thing. They're not using cutlery, get that out of the way, chucking all over themselves. They're not necessarily making a raucous mess, but they're very clearly, we do what we like. They're cocky by the looks of them. And there is conversation, but not any public, big excited conversation.
Do I recognise these people?
Explicitly not, no.
Okay. Do I, like you said, they're wearing bulkier? They got armor underneath their clothes.
You can assume, yes.
Well,
not like plate armor. It's not like that bulky, but maybe they've got like a layer of leather or studded leather underneath their armor.
So, I'm wearing leather armor. Am I wearing leather? I'm wearing studded leather armor. Am I just wearing studded leather armor, or am I looking bulky as well?
Well, that is like a character choice. I only say they look bulky because they've got the clothes on top of the armor.
Yeah.
And so
But no,
it's
but
like if you were to wear a t-shirt over a hoodie, the t-shirt would just look weird.
but
You can.
no. Sorry, my question is that normal? Like, with I've got studded armor. I'm sure someone else in the team has got some sort of leather armor as well. Would we normally wear clothes on top of our armor?
Not necessarily. No. Some people do.
So
But
it's not a weird thing to see people trying to hide the fact they're wearing armor.
it's definitely not weird to see people wear armor, and it's definitely not weird to see people like try and hide the fact that they're doing so.
Okay.
But it's still a bit like no one else in the town wears armor, so it's just another indicator like these people aren't from here. That's
Okay.
like it's something that you would do if you were on a long day's ride. You put clothes on top of the armor so you don't like catch it on anything, basically.
Okay.
Because obviously, as you imagine, like with a studded leather armor, it's got like different sections and pads and like rings and hoops and stuff that will catch on everything. So just sticking something on top.
I get you. So I don't recognize these people. Are they wearing anything that would sort of give them away, like kind of who maybe they might be? I'm not talking about names. I'm just being like,
Make an insight check.
insight.
While you're doing this, you guys all like getting a table, getting food, drinks, that sort of thing.
Oh yeah.
I should say before I continue with this, you do see there are two other new people, but they aren't as distinctive. I'd say there are two individuals elsewhere in the tavern, so they're not the only new people in town, but this is like an isolated group, which is what's standing out to you. With their insight check, you have a look at their hand when they're eating. Obviously, like they're just sticking their hands in their plates and eating what they can. Their hands are quite dirty, scarred along like the backs of their hands and wrists and that sort of thing. They've all look quite scraggly, and they look a little bit not beaten up, but like you see one or two of them have like a really old broken nose, or maybe one of them's got like the end of his little fingers missing. From whatever you can tell, these people are, and they, like I said, they do have weapons about them, so you can tell that they are possibly bad news. You can't tell if they are, heroes for hire or like bandits, but they look a bit rough.
They look rough and ready.
Yeah.
Sweet.
It's like if you were to walk into a pub and there's like 8 people all wearing all black tracksuits in the back corner, and one of them's wearing like a big purple velvet suit smoking a cigar. Like you don't know that's someone in a gang, like in a stereotypical like Nicomanafri Canberra Fuse thing. But I mean, there's some red flags.
As an Italian, I take offense to that. Because you've just described my dad.
Well, I'm sure your father is a lovely man. Please don't send the mob after me.
I mean, I won't. I can't say my dad won't, but I won't.
Oh,
sorry. Sorry.
No, I'm worried for my safety.
Okay. I will relay this information to the team. And just kind of like.
We in like a booth, like a booth somewhere, I'm guessing.
Yeah. You can. It's a bit cramped. You'd have to get like an extra table and stick it on the end because there's quite a number of you.
I'm guessing Hanu would pick like in the booth the one closest to the window, and he would obviously like retract like his legs quite like a large amount into his shell to be able to shuffle along.
Yeah, to try and like minimize his silhouette.
Yeah,
gotcha. Yeah. Absolutely, no problem. So yeah, you're tucking yourself away as best you can. 1 sec. And you all squeeze onto a booth. You notice that the proprietor of the establishment, Giselle, who you have spoken to before, doesn't come over to you and ask for your order. She's staying at the bar.
How's Giselle looking? Is it normal for her to not come over?
Well, previously she has come over to you. I will say you don't. One sec, sorry. She in past she has come over and said, "Oh, welcome in." But that was your first time there, so maybe it was because you were brand new. She wanted to welcome you in, but she didn't like wave and say hello as you entered the door. She didn't look up from. She's appears to be pouring a drink, and like head down, looking down a little bit. Every now and again, she'll like speak to her child. If someone comes up to the bar, she'll speak to them, but otherwise is acting quite reservedly.
Are we going to go to the bar?
So that you go thirsty.
Kind of, Hanu would probably give a very kind of stretched out and go, and then like just like fist onto the table as if it's like holding a tankard, but obviously there's nothing in his hand.
Okay, but you're not going up to the bar. You're doing this at your table to try and get her to come over.
I'm in the corner, wedged in between the corner of the booth, so I kind of at a disadvantage in terms of manoeuvring off the table.
Okay. So you're either indicating to her to come over or to someone else to get up and go do it for you.
I want some sort of service, so whoever's listening.
Okay, yeah. So you,
whether or not successful.
So yeah, you make a big show of it, and as your hand comes down, she jumps and then looks over and sort of her daughter runs by and she says, whispers to her, and the daughter runs over to you and says, "Welcome to the Reluctant Pig. What can I get for you?" And she's got like a little piece of parchment and a quill. Or actually, no, it wouldn't be a quill; it would be a piece of like coal or chalk.
Well, surely you should have come to the table the moment we walked through the door. I find that rather rude.
Right,
we are rather busy at the moment, I'm afraid. There's why am I talking like a fully grown woman? She's a child. We're a bit busy at the moment. Sorry. Mum says I have to stay behind the bar when I'm not needed. So.
Well, why isn't your mother out on the floor?
She's never really out on the floor. That's her place. This is my bit, and she like sort of puts her foot down like this. This is my turf.
Child labor, isn't that illegal?
Not when it's a family business. I would know. I worked for my mother for.
I'm sure it doesn't quite matter whether it's family or not.
It does genuinely make a difference, though, illegally speaking.
Well,
I worked for my mother's restaurant when I was 15 years old, and I was working 18-hour shifts, and there's absolutely nothing the law could do about it.
There's one thing for sure, it's been a long day. We're all a little parched. Any chance of something to wet our whistle?
Mm-hmm. She like starts pointing like at you guys, like 1, 2, 3, 4, and she starts counting on her hands and goes like 1, 2, 3, 4, and then like she gets to the end of the hands. Oh shit! It's just to start again. So then she writes down the number of people. She goes, "Ale for everyone, gotcha," and then runs off.
Well, that was surely unusual. I didn't even ask for ale.
I don't even like ale.
Truth be told, never had ale.
Don't. It tastes the way cat piss smells.
What's a cat?
Evil little thing.
So you discuss how awful ale is, and she returns to you rather promptly with a tray with the non-requested ales upon it. One for each of you, and says, "Anything else?"
Nothing for me. I'm now inspecting the tankard as I've never held an ale.
Some food would be nice. If you
and she looks over at the table of like 6 guys. She goes, yeah, how much do you want?
What's wrong?
Well, we like I said, we were a bit busy. And then she like she's a kid. She's very pointedly looking over the group, and every next look over her shoulder and look back again, and like look like she's been caught doing something. So we don't have much for. We can't have a banquet for you.
Oh, that's not at all what I want at the moment. You're okay.
Okay. And she sort of like looks relieved. She says, okay, good.
I mean, would I have noticed her looking at this like group?
Oh yeah, she's a kid. She does not know how to make
yeah.
a deception check.
I'm gonna sort of stand up and make my way over to this table.
Okay. You get
What, to
up
the
and head over
table?
to this table.
Table with the bad people.
Mm-hmm.
Before you do that, wait a second.
Okay. So she basically says, you know, you can have some food, but not a massive amount. But is there anything in particular anyone wants, or it just whatever? Take what you get.
Pretty much, I think.
That's kind of how things work in taverns, as far as like ye olde taverns. It's like
it's not really like a menu. It's whatever's there.
Exactly. Yes. Okay. Yeah. Well, sorry. That's not on the menu. We didn't catch any today. Sorry. Like, that's about as deep as it gets. So,
while this is occurring, Hanu's sniffing his tankard.
You sniff your tankard. Is that what the kids call it nowadays?
Ollie, did you see what I've written?
Oh god, I set up 2 monitors. So I'm the fucking messages coming out from left and right. Because I've been trying to learn a new tabletop system, and I needed like a PDF on one screen, the character sheet on the other, so I could just like save me alt tabbing because my alt key has fallen off, so I can't fucking alt tab anymore. Which don't worry, you don't need my life story. So you you say we'll have what you have. Says okay, yeah, we'll bring out like an appropriate amount of food. She runs back behind the bar, and then again she doesn't come back out again. Normally she would be running around and going, do you want anything else? Do you want anything else? Like asking every table just over and over again, to the point where it's endearing, bordering on slightly irritating. And you so Amra, you do that. She flinches and looks around and like looks towards you and looks confused. Like she's like, what the fuck? Well, that's the look on her face anyway. She doesn't say anything out loud. You put the forward slash in the wrong place, bro.
Yeah.
She sort of like nods slowly and looks and is like, she like points at herself and shrugs.
Can she reply? I don't think she can.
What if you like copy and paste the word in the ability,
able
you'll
to
take a picture
communicate telepathically.
Yeah.
I don't think you can receive.
So
you can't
where
read
does
her
this
mind, can you? You can.
No,
you
I
can
can't
only
read her
place
mind.
your voice in her mind.
I can speak telepathically to anyone within 30 feet. We don't need to share a language as long as they understand the language.
Yeah.
No, I can
Is
just
it to or with?
speak to.
Yeah.
To, yeah. Then you can just project voices in her brain. You can't receive anything.
I mean, he's
return.
done that to what he's just done. He's done to Hanu, hasn't he?
I believe so.
Yeah, I think he did it once. So I'd probably kind of maybe click about what may have been
Yeah,
occurring.
is it like a pointed thing? Like this is a matter of flavor. Do you like look at them and like have to focus, or can you just do it like while you're
It doesn't
doing
say. It
whatever
just
else?
says gives me the ability to touch the mind of other creatures. I can telepathically speak to any creature I can see within 30 feet.
Mhm.
And we don't need to share a language.
Yeah,
They
yeah.
just need to be able to speak, understand. The language.
She looks at you and sort of like puts a hand out, sort of like palm down, finger pointed, like wait 1 minute, I'll be with you. And then she finishes up what she's doing. Eventually, you'd have to wait a little while. She's like looking for an opportunity, so it doesn't look sketch. Oh Jesus! Go dimensions. Sorry, I was just building a map for the 980 by 700. Drag that over to the nighttime version. There we go. 980 by 700.
Very small, dark. Oh, Jesus Christ. Okay.
There we go.
Whoa!
The
It's
town came
really
out of nowhere.
pixelated, but
Yeah, it'll load in a sec. It just has to render.
there you go.
So, yeah, this is at night time. It's a bit purple, but it's so you can actually see it and not just look a grey version of the map. She looks for a second, waits till your food has like been prepared, and there's like a ding ding from inside. From in the back in the kitchen. She goes in there and comes back with trays of food and comes and like puts the food down. And she looks again quite reserved and like body language wise, elbows close, shoulders up, head down, sort of leaning forward as she walks towards you. Puts the trays down on your table. Share everything around as you need. And she says, as she looks at you, Amra, like, what was that? What? Like she's never been spoken to telepathically before. She's confused.
She's magic. I'm magic.
I suppose it's beyond the realm of understanding for my ilk. It's adventurous for you, I suppose. Everything's fine. Everything's, to answer your question. We'll be okay. Just don't kill anyone.
Are you sure?
Yes. And she like gets a. She's like, don't kill anyone.
Not even a little bit.
She like stone faced. There's like I wasn't kidding.
Okay.
And she like waits a second and nods. Thank you. How did it go? You said you were all on an adventure, and she sort of like sidles up and like sits down for a second. It looks like it's the first time she sat down in ages. She's sort of like like sort of flexing her feet a little bit. So what? How did everything go? Where you were? I know you went out to be mighty heroes. Some orcs.
Goblins, sorry. I get confused. They all look alike.
Ooh, as a goblin, that's very offensive to me. So she's, oh, okay, right. Well, I suppose good job on you. You'll be getting a nice payout in the morning, I guess. I suppose you haven't seen the seen the news. And she like motions to a notice board. On the wall, and you all see there is a poster saying, like, it's buried in like with a dagger through the top of it, very clearly put there as a like the dagger's been put through it as like a message, and it says, "Baron of Tor is dead, slain by feral orcs. Baron Regent to take his place. Ceremony in 2 weeks' time."
Terrible news.
Yes, we hadn't heard from him from a while, but it's he was the noble who presided over Torthil before it burned down. So it's sort of it's sad to see him go. Essentially, Yeah, his whole family were killed apparently. From the whispers I hear, wife and 2 sons, both dead, all 3 dead. Sorry. So, yeah. Anyway, is there anything else I can get for you? We're a bit low on supplies at the moment. We've been bought out, if you will.
By who?
And she like turns to look at that group of guys again, says, looks over, and as she does, one of them looks over at her talking to you, and like winks and just like does his disgust, like that Danny DeVito grin in Home Alone, where he does that like just sleazebag smile with the golden tooth. He sort of does that as like a what, how's it going? And she turns around, like shit. They've been traveling for a while, so they were quite hungry.
Who are they?
I'm afraid I don't know.
Well, they don't seem like the most friendly group.
They make a mess, but well, as long as there's been no been no dead, I suppose that's something. We shall they don't appear to be staying the night, at the very least not here, so we shall simply wait for them to go. And after she's made eye contact with that guy, she like is now talking quieter in softer tones. It's just I'm not going to do it because my mic won't pick it up. Exactly that. Thank you, Nick. That's exactly the look.
I could always make them clean up their mess.
She looks at you like, I'd rather just wait till they go and clean it up. Then that's quite all right.
Fine. I wasn't
I
going to hurt
appreciate-
anybody. Just use a little persuasion.
I'm afraid I would prefer if we just left things as they are. That's quite all right. And she says, I have to get back to work now. And someone has walked up to the bar. They are a it looks like a human man, pretty bulky. Who is sort of, it looks like he's sort of waiting for someone to return to make an order. The man previously known as Octavius Fitz. Could you please describe your character?
Yep. So you see a tall man, covered in some leathers, torn leathers and fabrics. Long hair and tied back into a bun, and tattoos across his face and arms.
So quite the striking figure. You're like a big dude, right? At least the picture you sent me, you look like quite a big guy. I don't know if that is.
Yeah. He's like 6'5".
Yeah. And probably
and
like
ripped.
Yeah, jacked as hell.
Yeah.
Kind of like look like Dwayne the Rock Johnson is what I'm picturing. If you were to be played in a film, or if he was to be played in a film, sorry, like I'm picturing Dwayne but with hair, obviously. Speaking of which, just a fun bit of homework. I don't know if I mentioned it last week, but I've started using this person, if they were played in the movie, played by this actress. So if you could obviously not right now, maybe in the next week or so, come up with like the actor who would play your character. It'd be quite cool. Just because it's fun. It's fun to doing homework is not just for school kids. So get rid of that. So Giselle returns to the bar. I don't know, how long have you been in town / this tavern?
Town probably not long, couple of hours.
Okay, so you probably arrived just after or just before these guys. So
yeah,
you maybe had a drink, maybe just finished food. Yeah. And she returns and says, yes. I meant to. Are you? And then like she's sort of like looking at like trying to get a judge of your character. It's like, will you be staying in town long at all?
Now, to do an accent, very badly or not. I'm not going to for now. No, I'm not sure. At least a day or two.
I see. So would just out of curiosity, what do you do for a living? She looks like she's trying to make polite conversation. She doesn't look like she's chatted to many people in the last couple of hours at the very least.
I hunt.
Ah, well, if you happen to find yourself upon any serviceable game in the woods, then we'll be more than welcome to purchase it off you. Our stock is running a little bit dry after all. Glad to see someone of honest employment in the town.
Does she look
What can I
after
get for you?
that?
No.
Okay, good.
Again, but after while she says it, she does put her voice down a little bit and kind of says it outside of her mouth, so only you can hear. Obviously, she's speaking relatively quietly anyway, but even quieter, as if trying to make sure that absolutely no one could hear. So she asked what you order. You see the other group. I mean, they very much stick out like a sore thumb. You see, I don't know if it's going to be from left to right or whatever, but there's a most striking of all, a big turtle man with a big fuck off lance strapped to his back, a blue elf with gills, a slightly less blue but equally elven person wearing like robes and shit, and then just a very normal looking human, remarkably normal looking.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Just
Except he
so
looks a
so
bit
you
like
know
a
what.
heroin addict.
Oh, lovely.
I put it into the chat.
Oh, right, yeah. The thing. I haven't seen the film, so I just thought you just meant a generic heroin addict. Something you need to tell us about your character? Put it in the flaws section of the.
He's not a heroin addict. He's just very gaunt and.
But otherwise looks very normal.
But surprisingly charming.
Yes. Perhaps his mundaneness is what draws people to him. So you see this group. They don't seem to pay you any mind. You all see him. But yeah, if you guys want to interact, absolutely feel free. Otherwise, we will. I'll continue to narrate.
Well, for now, I will take my drink and sit on a table near them, but not like right next to them.
Okay.
And then I will start eating berries out of my pocket.
Okay. You start eating berries out of your pocket. Are you like trying to overhear their conversation, or
maybe a little bit?
Okay. So you'll leave it to your passive perception, is what you're saying. So the other group of you, you are sat down. You see behind the bar, the child comes out again, runs past. Someone delivers food, goes back behind the bar, and as you're, having dinner, I don't know if there's anything you're particularly chatting about, but sort of probably about dead halfway through, because that's the most inconvenient. There is like a clattering noise from the other side of the bar, like as if someone had dropped a plate on the floor, and a lot of people turn and like see who it was. It was that group of 6 people. The one on the end seems to like his plate is now on the floor, and he like cockily leaning back into his chair as if making no motion to pick it up, looks like dead at Giselle, the owner, and says, "Oops, my plate slipped."
Nolan's definitely going to stand up and point at him.
Mm-hmm. As you stand up, he kind of, he doesn't stand up, he like leans forward in his seat a little bit, as does the person opposite him.
Yeah, I'm going to point at him and cast command.
Okay.
And tell him, pick up the broken plate that you've just dropped. That's not her voice. Whoops. My bad.
But that's his internal monologue, telling him to do that. Whoopsie. Let me just make sure. So, is that a wisdom save?
Yes.
Okay, let me just make sure. Wisdom save, not especially wise, but we'll see. Is that gonna work? Yeah, cool. He his head sort of twitches to one side, and he reaches down and grabs. Oh, that's good, Jason Omar. And he grabs like the broken bits of plate, just literally grabs them like with one hand, like clamps his hand on them, so there's like he stabs himself a little bit, and then just like dumps them on the table again, and then shakes his head. What the fuck was that? And he stands up and walks into the middle of the room.
That, my kind sir, was a lesson in manners. And then I'm going to sit straight back down.
Okay. He walks over to your table, and
Oh,
two
you
of his
stupid fucking cat.
two of his people
down.
walk over to you. And so it's like him and two of his cronies, like picture
weather in
Draco
total?
Malfoy, Crab and Goyle, right? There's him and there's two people behind him.
Sorry, Ollie, how many were there in total?
6.
We
Three
can
of them are
take
still
it.
sat down, but they are watching. They're very clearly watching. And he comes over to your group and sort of like puts his hands on the edge of your table and like does like a long pan from left to right, as in scanning all of you, and then rests on you, Nailin, and like leans in a little bit so you can smell his breath. It smells like whiskey, but the alcohol isn't recent. You know, he's been
I was
drinking.
going to say something so gross, but I was like, oh no, don't do that.
Is it you're going to do something, or is it a comment upon his character? Because the
I
second is
literally just
very
thought,
much recommended.
spit in his mouth.
Oh Jesus!
How
That's not very ladylike.
Which is why I was like, no.
So he then, like I said, he does his long pan, left to right, rests on you, Nailin, says, "And who are you to be giving me lessons, Missy?" And again, it's just like this breath of hot air hits you in the face, and it stinks like booze.
Well, I'm something you could only dream to be, my darling.
Oh, I'm certainly dreaming of you, love. And he stares at your cleavage.
That's disgusting.
Yep. You're not meant to like him. And then he like elbows one of his guys behind him. He's like, yeah, you know what I mean? He's like, oh, yeah,
Can I touch his hand that's on the table?
You can.
I would very much like to cast Inflict Wounds.
Okay, you're gonna do the inflict wounds foot move again. For you, highlight your foot in glowing purple energy. So make a spell attack roll. I believe it's in the middle of your sheet.
Where is it? That one.
15. Yeah, you hit. So you kick him in the knee, you can like grab his hand, and he'd like, and you see like veins running from underneath his shirt go black, and he coughs. Blood comes out, and he hits the deck. And like immediately the two guys behind him are like shit, and they draw weapons.
Oh no! What?
So Hanu will jump up like a springboard, all legs, all arms spring out full length, and he stands on the table in a defensive manner.
All right. Initiative, everyone.
But she said no fighting.
My bad.
She said to everyone not to.
I didn't know I was gonna knock him the fuck out. I thought he would just get a little pain and then be like, "Oh shit, sorry." Not, oh, 14. I'm gonna die now.
Yeah, 14 points of necrotic damage, no biggie. So the map I have doesn't like group everyone together quite as quite how I imagined them. So I'm going to move some things around really quick, and we will see. So he is. Yeah. Okay. I just right click? Oh yes, that's so helpful. Right, so 4, and that one was 6. That one is 9. Take me a second, apologies. Ooh, he actually rolled okay. How fun. How fun. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Oh, I missed one. I'm confused. Oh, there we go. Yes. Right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 6. Done. Right, let me move you all over to the map, and I will then, just so you can see what's going on while you're here. Ooh. So, welcome to the inside of the tavern. You're on like this table here, basically. As I said, it is a bit cramped. You'd be at the front. You said you were at the back. I think Astrid, you'd be at the back as well because Amra was chatting to what's her face. She's, I don't know if you can see her. She's over here, behind the bar. This is the dude that you have wounded. Did everyone roll? I just need to add them manually. Oh, and don't let me forget. Where is it? Cool. So there's that.
Am I the only one that can't see anything?
You will see something very soon. I'm just going to
Is
sort
it
that
fog
out.
of war, is it?
Yeah. You just don't have your guys blind. So dynamic lighting on. I think that will do. Can you see?
Yep, I can see some stuff.
So let me do this instead. How's that?
Yeah, much better.
Cool. So done. That's that. Everyone has rolled at the very least. Now let's go through and do the restable task of having to put them all in manually. So Astrid, what did you get for initiative, Astrid?
16.
Oh, yep, see you. Oh, I put you on twice. Whoops.
I'll take
Naylim, what did you get?
17.
17. And 17. And Almanra.
7.
7.
Seven.
Aren't you lucky? And then our new individual who played by Jason Momoa. I don't see it. Oh yeah, I see it. Yeah.
18.
Coolio. So you're going to be just like there on the end, like back up against their booth. So right at the start, let's go in what we might call
I'm not on
initiative
your
order.
turn order.
Are you not?
Nope.
I see you.
Not
Oh, that's
I
weird.
can't.
Oh, it's because you rolled before we
Before you
swapped the
change the
map over.
page,
So
yeah.
Yeah, but so did I, and I'm there.
Yeah, no, because I added you
Just
added you manually.
Right. Okay.
For some reason,
Okay.
it made it actually connect to the token on your one, didn't it, on this? So I got 8.16, and Astrid got 16. Right, set by descending. So, Jason Momoa, as I'm going to call you until your character's name is revealed. Unless you want to just, do away with the illusions. You see this guy who has been, for as long as you've been here, making a bit of a ruckus. Just hits the deck. His head smacks on the table. Oh, not the table, on the floor. Sorry.
Okay. Well, as soon as I see those other guys draw their weapons, I would stand up and move out ever so slightly, and I would put my hands up, and I would just say, "Gentlemen, let's take this outside. This is a nice place. Let's not do this here." Of course, in an amazing accent, though.
Sure. Yeah. Wow, that really was a good accent.
I know, right?
So
practicing for
you
ages.
make a persuasion check.
Mhm.
Are you directing this to anyone in particular, or is it just any of the guys who are nearby?
It'd probably be any of the guys nearby, but I'd be staring at the guy directly in front of me.
Okay, yeah. So you're sort of like look left, look right, but making eye contact with the one right next to you.
Yeah.
With a 14, he looks like not convinced, but he's not gonna. He's like, okay, we should take it outside. But it looks like 2 or 3 of these guys didn't even hear you. They are drunk, to be clear. Like this guy especially, like you may as well have been speaking French to him. He did not hear a word you're saying. But this dude, provided the situation doesn't change against him, maybe he will try and convince his buddies to leave. I assume then, sort of hands up, say, hey, maybe we shouldn't fight, and that'll be your turn, unless you then cast like fireball or some shit, which isn't conducive to peace.
I didn't say how big the room was. I said cast fireball.
You might be able to angle it and not kill many innocents. Who knows?
No.
So this dude, let's set this one to the back because otherwise getting away. This dude is just going to step forward, and he is gonna like grab you by the hair, Nailin, and like yank you out of the booth, and then try and punch you in the face. So make an athletics check, and I assume you don't have your shield equipped at the moment, so it will be your AC -2 when I try and punch you. That doesn't work. Shit. Where is the motherfucking thing? There we go. Right. So so he like grabs onto you and you feel him start pulling your hair. You don't go anywhere. But then he's going to try and punch you in the face. Okay, so he doesn't have a strength modifier. He's got an 11 strength. He's a bit greedy, but he does crit. So he punches you in the face. He gets you good, but it only does 2 points of bludgeoning damage. And you hear from behind the bar, like you hear someone go, "Oh!" like from over another side, and people are like getting up and moving away. And that's going to be his turn. Nailin. That's you.
I would very much just like to headbutt him in the face.
Yeah. So that's I don't know if you have an unarmed strike like ready on your character sheet.
No.
So it will be your strength plus your proficiency. So if you have something that's the same modifier on each, just roll that. But otherwise, just make a strength check and we'll see where it goes. Yeah, you're fine. So yeah, you headbutt him in the face. You like basically grab his hand that's pulling your hair, yank it off, and like while his hand has been like yanked out of the way, his guard is wide open. You swing in and crack into his nose. Roll. So that's just 1 plus strength modifier for an unarmed attack. So how much is that?
Not a clue.
What's your strength? What's your strength modifier?
3.
Okay, so that's 4. So unarmed attacks do 1 plus strength. You don't roll for it. It's just 1 instead of a roll. So it's just 4 damage. You crack him in the face, and you hear a crunch as you do so. Is this the first time you've broken someone's nose with a headbutt?
Yeah.
It's very satisfying. You could get used to this. Sorry, I skipped your turn. Is that everything? You can do anything else, or?
Yep, that's all. That is all I shall do.
Okay, Astrid, you're up.
I'm going to duck under the table.
Okay. It's very cramped.
I am very small. I'm going to duck under the table, move to just
under the table next to Naylin, and I'm going to stab him in the leg.
Okay, you feel like I don't know if you ever had like a Christmas dinner when there's a dog who's trying to scrounge for scraps. You feel just like something move past your legs. Yeah, make an attack roll. Yeah, you get him. He and blood starts spurting out of his leg, and he hits the deck.
I'd then like to return to my seat, sit back. Take out my, return to my seat, and sit back down with a smile on my face.
Okay, yeah. So Naylin, you headbutt this guy in the face, and he screams in pain and collapses on the floor. And a pool of blood is beginning to spread on the floor underneath him.
I was just like, what the fuck? Okay.
So, are there any strangers in the bar who may act at this moment upon seeing the chaos unfolding?
Oh, god damn it.
I knew.
As this occurred.
Hey.
Hello.
Hello. A little girl rushes forward and will bring a knife to bear on one of the guys that's attacking the party.
Okay. So whereabouts? I'll move you onto the right layer. Whereabouts? Oh shit! Yeah, you can't see. Sorry. Dynamic lighting, vision, night vision. 60 save changes. Okay. Okay. There you go. So you should be able to see now.
So I just realized
where
something, so I do a quick note there.
where do you think your character would be?
Probably in a corner somewhere.
Okay, so yeah, you can be. I mean, to be fair, there's a corner booth. Like, can you see everything now? I don't know if it's updated for you.
Yes, I can.
Okay, cool. So like, there's a corner booth right there, so you can use that one if you would like. Lovely. All right.
I did to prepare a disguise token though. Oh well.
You all see a human child. Looks quite similar to the wait, sorry, one sec. Name, see, changes. Yeah, that's fine. So you all see a child that looks like the one who is like acting as a barmaid essentially, but not that child in particular, of like similar age. Runs out from a booth like you didn't even see them in the first place. Towards, I guess the nearest person is here. You've got plenty of movement. I'm just going to move them there so it stops going all over the place.
And we'll take a swipe with the dagger.
Okay, go for it. So yeah, you run on over. I assume you have. I don't know if you have a dagger ready on your sheet or anything, but let's see.
Yeah.
16 to do it. Yeah, you run over and you stab this person in. Where do you stab them? Leg. I assume you're quite short, so you can only like thigh is about as high as you can go.
Yeah, this girl isn't even 3 feet tall. She's little.
Okay. So yeah, you run up and stab this dude in the thigh. Roll damage.
I rolled 20 me issues.
I can roll for you if you like.
There you
4
go.
points damage. Cool. Yeah. So you run up and just stab this dude in the leg, and Jesus fuck, and like he screams in pain and seems very confused as to why the fuck a child has just run up on him and stabbed him when last he saw he was fighting the people in the booth. Yeah, he
says,
like a very confused.
She said, "Leave them alone, or you'll be starved."
Okay. So, do you mind if I make your names public? Because I'm basically putting name tags on your guys' characters, so you
and I will
know.
go and change my name as well.
Yeah, I mean it's already in the stuff.
Oh, of course, yeah. So let me just double check. See. Oh, shit. speed. Where is it?
And you know what? As a bonus action, before the end of her turn, she will grip her dagger tightly, and it will begin to glow slightly as she preps that for next round.
Okay, so you stab this person, and say leave them alone, and then your dagger begins to glow, and the guy who just got stabbed, like freaking out, and then looks down at you and is like, "What the fuck?" As you like a big glowy knife appears in this child's hands. I mean, if this was real life, it would freak you out. So you can imagine it would freak someone out in this world as well. If that will be everything, then it is one of the bad guys' turns. So let me just sort this last thing out pretty quick. So now you should all be able to see each other's names, and you should all have like a little health bar above your tokens as well. So that's mostly for me, in all honesty, so I can keep track of how much health you have without just asking. But okay, so this guy, he's gonna run up and like grab you, Lizzie. And I mean, you're a kid, right? So he just grabs you, picks you up, and like throws you to the side. So I'm gonna say make a given your size, make a athletics check with disadvantage to avoid being like repositioned, I guess.
Yeah, make an acrobatics check to dodge his grab.
Oh yeah, you can make acrobatics. That's fine. Yeah, but it's still going to be disadvantage because he is bigger than you.
Well, didn't matter.
Yeah, you like a child being picked up. You just like try and chew on his arm or like try and stab him with a knife, but you just flail around like essentially helplessly. You're moved out of the way. He is then going to move up, and now he has a sword, and he's going to try and stab you in the face, nail him.
Oh, brilliant!
I assume that knocked me prone as well.
Yes, yeah. So you like he doesn't like throw you with force, but enough to knock you on your ass and like get you out of the way, basically. Like if you've ever seen that video of Boris Johnson, this is to everyone who isn't American, I guess. Boris Johnson like playing rugby with kids, and he just like grabs one by the shoulder and just like fucking throws it. Like it doesn't hurt, but he just gets rid of this child. So yeah, this dude is going to try and stab you in the face, I'm afraid. So he runs up with this like it looks like almost a machete. It's like this short. Oh God, we can see Red X. You're not dead, are you? With it's sort of like a machete of that size, sort of thing, but with like a longer handle, and he's holding it in one hand, and he like pushes it with the other. He's going to hit twice for a total of 8 points of slashing damage. And he like spits on not like on you, but on your table. He's like, "Come and fucking have it, then, you freaks!" And he's like giving very pointed glares to the non-human individuals in the group. And then he's like, "You freaks!" Looks around all three of you, looks at Umra, and like looks like, "Huh?" And that's gonna be his turn. Honu.
So, as stated before, springboarding onto the table in full 6'5" glory.
Is this the first time that you stood up straight?
This is the first time I've stood up straight.
Okay.
He will look at the individual that's approached and spat at the table. Well,
it's mostly like breadcrumbs that come out when he spits. By the way, he's like mid-eating when the fight started.
Yeah. All you had to do was walk away. Now I have to do this, and I would like to rage, and I would like to attack with my lance.
Okay, so what does it look like when you rage? I know some people flavor it differently.
I mean, his jaw almost seems like it elongates, but it doesn't. It just appears to be sharper. His eyes just become very wide, and the veins on his arms kind of pop out. to the point where they actually look almost illuminated. Where
Ooh,
obviously
that's cool.
the blood coursing through his veins is very bright. So it almost looks like there's like a glow to his skin.
Cool. There's like
where the
a
veins are.
definitively different color where the veins are popping out.
Yeah,
That's
absolutely.
cool.
Yeah.
So I imagine it's like you know when you see a cat like see something that it can hunt and its head like goes down and it like it's half and it like gets into just a different position. It looks like a different animal. I imagine it's like that for you. So your head gets in a different position. All of a sudden, you don't look like a nice little turtle man. You've got like a fucking dragon head, right?
Pretty much.
And you're gonna go for it. I assume you're gonna make attacks with your lance.
Yep.
Over Nayland's head.
15.
That's gonna hit, yeah.
11 piercing.
11 points of piercing damage.
And the rage as well, isn't it?
Yep.
Forget about that.
Have you got the little box that you can tick on your sheet, or do you want me to set that up with?
It's alright.
Cool.
It's there. It's just I didn't add it. It's 2.
Yeah. Okay. So either way, I'm gonna say he gets knocked back by the force because it's a reach weapon. He gets knocked back by the force of it, and again hits the deck and is bleeding out.
I will move forward. To come in front of this one now, I think. Yep. Is that the one that's just been attacked, or is that another one now?
He has been attacked. Yes. Yeah.
Okay. He will just stand there, looking very mean and as mean as he can, and say,
I imagine you're quite intimidating. Not many people see turtles, and
Yeah,
even less see a pissed off turtle.
especially with a spiked shell. He says, "Leave the ladies alone."
He like does this like big like nope, and says, "Fuck you." It seems like he can't come up with a cool one-liner. So then, okay, then Amra. So a ruckus, and a guy's like looked at you and gone, "Huh?" I'm just gonna move this out of the way really quick. So I can mark something off. So,
good.
let's see.
I'm
Your turn.
gonna point at this one and say, "Go back, sit down. You've had too much." And I'd like him to make a wisdom saving throw.
The guy that's been stabbed.
This guy. Yep. The only guy in front of us is still alive.
No, there's another one. Oh, like yeah, there's 2 more that just haven't joined in yet. They're just doing the draw. So you're going to try and convince this guy to go back to his mates.
No. I just want him to make a wisdom saving throw. I'm telling him to go back, sit down. He's had too much.
Okay. What's the DC?
15.
He fails. 14. He and like after you do that, he's looking at you like, what? He can't sort of piece together why this normal person is why with these freaks is what you can is like at best what you can approximate. He is like the process is going through at the moment. But otherwise, he takes the psychic damage, and it does something else, doesn't it? Vicious Mockery.
Disadvantage on the next attack.
It's an attack. Oh, okay, right. That will come into play then. Awesome. Anything else?
No, that's it.
Okay.
Something occurred to me. Silent image is concentration. So, do you want me to make a check, even though I didn't technically take damage?
Yes, please. Yeah.
All right.
Cool. So yeah, you managed to, grit your teeth and avoid being exposed. So this dude is going to run forward, and he sees someone in front of him who has a weapon too big. Like these are close quarters combat, and that's a big pointy weapon. So you're going to struggle to hit this guy. Doesn't see you as we do attack his friend. And then what's going to do? What's going to do? He's going to attack the muscular man. Yeah. Again, twice with a short sword. Is going to hit twice for a total of 10 points of slashing damage. He runs in and like swings across. Are you wearing armor at all?
Yeah, but it's leather. Armor class 13.
Okay. Yeah. So you feel these two grooves get cut into your armor. I don't know how much 10 hit points of damage is against you, but that is going to suck. That is his turn. Then this one, he's going to attack you, Honu. But he has disadvantage on. Is it just his first attack roll from Vicious Mockery, or is it all attack rolls?
It's all attack rolls.
Okay. So that, 5 and 9. Yeah, he misses twice. So he goes in, but like he's trying to hit you, Honu, but he's like looking over your shoulder at Amara, like
obviously distracted,
absent-mindedly almost. Yes. Yeah. And then it is the dude at the back. He he runs. He goes, shit. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Runs outside.
Shit.
He looks like he's like, oh, this is bad news. Like they're winning. I don't need to get involved in this. He maybe didn't drink as much as everyone else. Then it is Katal.
Oh. Well. I'm just going to use a cantrip on him called Primal Savagery on the guy who attacked me.
Oh, okay. Oh, I know what one this is. Yeah, that's cool.
Oh, I double clicked it.
Oh.
Natural one. That unfortunately, you I think are reeling from the attack, and you. So in my mind, Primal Savagery is you like turn one hand into a claw and then swipe, and then it goes back to normal hand, right? That's
pretty much, yeah. It's either claw or teeth, yeah.
So you do that, but he's like maybe not as drunk as you originally thought, and he sidesteps quicker than you imagined he was going to, and expertly dodges out of the way. Looking worried, I'll give you that, but like he's not going to back down. He's pissed.
Okay, well then I'm going to use my bonus action to turn into a dire wolf.
Okay, so I have set up a character sheet for your wild shapes, and it is set to dire wolf, but I'm just going to see if it works properly. Please work. Yes, it does. So what you can do with this is we'll set it's going to be the same sheet, but you can set the token to have like multiple sides, so you can sort through. So the sheet you should have access to it. I'm just going to move your token up here, and move that there. You turn into a big fuck off direwolf. Immediately chaos. Like there's no real other way around it. He like just what the fuck, just doesn't know what he's meant to be looking at. Okay, so that is that's your turn. Then it is going to be this dude here. So, he is Dunzo. Okay, that's that. And then nail him. So there's 3 dudes bleeding out on the floor in front of you. A child has been thrown on the wall. There's a big fuck off wolf, and a turtle man is trying to stab this guy in the face. Pretty straightforward. Nailing.
Maybe muted.
She may have been eaten by the cat.
Well, at this point, it's like a furry lamp.
You didn't piss out my cat. I was on mute and I was just chatting away to myself. So kill me. Yeah, I'm going over to the child to make sure that the child is not dead.
Okay. They they don't appear to be. They look a bit shaken, like, hey, someone just threw me against the wall. But I'll leave the child to describe what they like.
She looks more mad than anything, but if you would you just kind of like crouch next to her, or would you like lay a hand on her shoulder? What would you do exactly?
I'd probably just hold a hand out to help her up.
She would take your hand, but you would notice that well, actually, DM, could I call for a perception check here?
Yeah, go for it. Yeah, it's against your. I think it's technically investigation. Usually, it's an intelligence-based one.
True,
But
yeah.
we'll do it there. Let's see. Sorry. Cool.
So if you,
So yeah, if you make a investigation check, please, Nayland.
Sorry, what was that?
Can you make an investigation check? Well, actually, what's your
Investigation.
passive investigation? I think is how you're meant to do it.
I have no idea.
So what's the bonus that you have to your investigation skill?
2.
Okay, so your passive investigation is 12. It's just 10, the average die result plus the bonus. And I'm assuming that's lower than your spell DC. So she looks a bit like odd. There's probably just bad lighting. Yeah, I'll leave it to you.
Yeah, I'm just gonna sort of help her up, dust her off a little bit.
okay, if you're gonna do that much, I think she would definitely notice that what she's touching doesn't quite line up with what she's seeing.
Yeah. It's like in a video game when your character model doesn't quite work and like part of your arm will like clip through a wall. That like as you're picking her up, like half of her head just like warps into the wall and then back out again, indicating that what you're seeing probably isn't what's actually there. It feels like there's a hand, like you can feel someone, but it's a bit off.
Yeah, I'm gonna sort of raise an eyebrow, but then not mention it.
Okay. We've got bigger things to deal with right this very second. Sure, no problem. And that. Cool. And anything else on your turn? I'll say that took your bonus action.
I'm just sort of gonna point at where am I? At this guy, and just sort of whisper, "Slice his fucking ankles." That's not the voice. Fuck.
So you're telling the.
I've literally just witnessed
ruffians.
a child stab someone in the leg. I'm sure she's fine with stabbing another person.
Oh right, I thought you were saying you're whispering to that guy, right? Okay, I understood. Yeah. So you're like sick him, like you're sending this child off on a So you send this child off on a mission to kill. Anything else? I'll say that counts as a help action if you're not going to do anything else.
Yeah, I'm just sort of gonna like smirk at the child as I say it, and that'll be my turn.
Okay, Astrid.
Right. I'm going to. Which one is the one that can't quite work out what Ra is? Is it this one here?
This one here, yeah, directly in front of Honu.
Wonderful. I'm going to. Oh yeah. I'm going to attempt to. Oh, by the way I do it, I'm just going to copy paste this. Move past Armand. Fuck me, that's a big wall, isn't it?
Only just seen it.
I can't see past that wall. Wonderful. I'm going to go around Armand Ra, climb up onto the top of Hono's shell, and then try and jump and put my dagger into this guy's shoulder and swing on it for a bit.
Okay. What I'm going to say is because you're not hidden or anything. Actually, no. You would have sneak attack anyway because Honu is next to him. But make an acrobatics check just to see if you get if you do really well. Then I'll say you have advantage on the attack. 15. Yeah, you absolutely go for advantage. This guy looks kind of beaten up. I think he's been viciously mocked and also stabbed by a kid, so he's not looking too great. There's some blood coming out of his leg and also some blood coming out of his ears. I don't think jump over you. More. Wow. Okay. Right. Looks like you didn't need the advantage. Roll damage on that. We'll see how incredibly dead he is.
Oh, fuck.
16 points of damage. Yeah, I'm gonna set him to the map layer so I don't have to roll death saves. He's dead. He's dead. You like springboard, leap from here to here, and then like kick off the little dividing wall thing, leap forward, do like a little almost like tap Hono on the shoulder just to redirect yourself, get yourself a little bit more momentum, bury the knife into the side of his neck, and then just keep going past him. And as you do, the knife just also goes past him and it comes out the other side of his neck, and he just doesn't even begin twitching on the floor.
Wow, this
dead.
new blood varnish on the wooden flooring is really setting the mood.
Oh, shit.
I'm going to bonus action disengage
Okay.
from this guy next to me, and move across my. Oh, how many spaces would I have left from that? Like one.
1, 2.
Looks like 2.
3, 4. You got 2 more, yeah.
Wonderful. I'm going to go over here, and as I go past, wipe my dagger off on whoever's dead's cloak on my way past.
Okay, so you lean down and you hear like this dude. He's like there's like struggling breathing noises coming from him, but he's not dead, but he's dying. But you hear as you lean down to like wipe your knife off, he goes, "Help me!" But you just keep going.
No.
Then it is. Oh, actually, from your angle, you can see. I don't know if your token can see, but you as a person can see. The owner, Giselle, behind the bar, looking terrified.
Oh, I'm gonna wave. I'm gonna do like
right.
Like the finger wave.
I'm gonna wave. Did you ever watch Doctor Who with the with the master, with David Tennant, when he sat around the ballroom and he goes, "Happy" is like this with the grin and this like thumbs up. I'm gonna do that, and then I'm going to do like a sleeping motion, like the one that Amon-Ra did last time, and point at the guys and nod.
Okay. So I'm afraid you're gonna have to describe what you're referencing again, because I want to Google it and get a good mental picture.
I'll send you a GIF.
Okay, thank you very much. Yeah. So you like you're like, oh, they're sleeping. Don't worry. After she saw you like pirouette from a dude's.
But cool.
Oh yeah, no, yeah. She does like a sleeping motion, and she's like, what? Just doesn't get it. Lizzie, that is your turn again. You have advantage to quote unquote slit someone's ankles, I think was the phrasing.
Absolutely correct, sir.
Mm-hmm.
So, scurry over here and duck underneath the table to go after his ankles.
Okay.
Nice.
So you're like scurrying around on all floor. I'm picturing like, like a pirate climbing up the ring with a knife in their mouth, scurrying around on the floor, run up and yeah, go for it, make the attack. Again, with advantage. And +2 because you got flanking. So 24, that does hit, in fact.
I had advantage.
Nicely done. So how much damage? 4 points piercing damage. 4 points of piercing damage. And oh yeah, I forgot about that one. Okay, so let me just read the description of your ability very quickly.
C14, by the way.
Okay. So he got a 12. He got a 12. He did fail. I'm gonna tell you what. I'm gonna pick, and I'll just narrate what happens on his turn, because I feel that's more interesting than we all find out together. So
She stabs him in the leg, and then her dagger stops glowing.
yeah, and you see like there's like as if light just disappeared from the dagger, like came off of it like a what's the word? I don't know. There's like a visual effect in a video game where you got a sword that goes on fire. There you go. Get rid of any pretense of me being smart. So now I don't know where this is in the DMG. I really should have like prepped this beforehand. Dungeon Master's Workshop? No. Running the game. Oh, I found it. Yeah.
Sorry for not having the exact page number for you.
Yeah, got it. So, roll. Actually, no, I'm gonna roll. I'm gonna roll for this. I'm gonna roll.
so glad you let me have this, by the way.
Oh wow, that is something.
Is this a Moltres special?
All of that.
He gets stabbed in the leg, and then like you are looking him in the eyes as this happened. He gets stabbed in the leg, like flinches in pain, and then his face just goes completely slack, and he goes, and then just a sack of potatoes, as if the light goes out behind his eyes, and he just hits the deck. I rolled a 96, by the way. The character falls unconscious. Then it is this guy. He doesn't do much. I think that is everyone, apart from the guy who's running away. Is anyone going to try and chase him?
If it's my go, yes.
Okay, yeah. So it is, your turn. Everyone that you can see is gone, but the door is still swinging back and forth past Astrid to the outside.
Can I make it? That's the question. Where's the door there? I'll have to dash, I guess, and that will mean I lose my rage, I think.
No, it's this door here. Sorry.
Oh,
there's a little side door. Yeah, there's the main entrance down that way, but there's one.
I think I can.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, you can. Yeah. So what I'll do is I'll delete the lighting that makes that door, and you should be able to see outside. He is just past there.
Use the full, as long as I'm in range.
Yeah.
And yeah. So.
Go for it. Make your attack. Yeah, 19 will hit. Okay, yeah, he also splat. Hits the deck. Okay, that is everyone is unconscious or dead. So we're going to drop out of initiative. What do you guys do? Again, there's like people are screaming, what's going on? As you're outside, you see a mist coming in. It's just, it's late at night, it's getting a bit chillier. You feel like a significant drop in temperature from going to the outside, inside to outside, but otherwise it seems quiet. And other than the people freaking out,
Honu will go up to the one he's just killed outside, pick him up from this the scruff of the collar, and have a good look at his face to see if there's anything distinguishable or anything about him.
Okay. You grab him by the scruff of his neck, and he's like, he's like mechanically he's making death saves, like looking at you like what are you even doing? You're like staring him in the eyes. How long do you stare at him in the eyes for? Like, how long do you think it takes to get a good picture of what someone looks like?
I mean, a moment or two, at least a turn, perhaps.
Okay. He and you feel like as you're doing that, your hands are getting wet with his blood as it trickles down him, and he's like sort of pouring at you almost. You see nothing particularly recognizable about his face. Like I said earlier, he's probably got a broken nose, shaggy hair, like scruffy, like not 5 o'clock shadow, like 5. It would have been a 5 o'clock shadow last week, and he looks dirty and he smells like booze and just, to be honest, like he hasn't washed in a very long time. But you do see as he pours up, he's got a tattoo around one of his wrists that's it looks like the thorns of a rose. Like there's just like a vine with spikes coming off it that like encircles his wrist.
Okay. So thorns of a rose.
The giant direwolf puts his head down and literally bites off one of the guy's heads.
Okay, I'm assuming the one nearest to you.
Yeah. I mean, most likely.
Cool. That's the one that attacked you. So you reach down and you just grab him by the head and just shake from side to side until the body like detaches. Because obviously you don't have fine motor control as a direwolf. So you grab by the head because you're fucking huge. So your mouth just goes over the entire head, and you just shake from left to right, and eventually it just detaches. And there's a scream. All the like normal people who were in here they've left. They've run. The only people that are still in here are the owner. The daughter appears to have hidden somewhere, and you hear the other owner, the husband, coming out from the kitchen.
Can Lizzie go ahead and approach the woman at the counter?
Yeah, she like looks down at you. It's like, it's not safe. You need to go. You need to leave. It's not safe here.
Okay, nice lady, and she'll go ahead and drop 2 gold pieces on the counter.
She like doesn't move to collect them. She looks at you like, what the fuck? Like she looks genuinely worried, freaked out, and like this is the worst thing that could have possibly happened. So mark off 2 gold. I'll mark this dude is dead.
Whoops.
Everyone else, what you up to?
I'm gonna go and make sure that Naylin's okay after.
To being beaten.
Yeah, how are you feeling? You seem like the guy that did it. You like knocked him unconscious at the very least. He's still like on the floor and like twitching a little bit, like he's maybe raising one hand limply, like you can see his eyelids moving from side to side, but he's gone like deathly pale. So that's that one. 2, and then yeah. So you go over to Naylin. How's Naylin feeling at the moment? I think it's the best way to ask.
She feels like she could do with a nap.
Okay.
Long
okay.
nap.
Tired. Yeah. No, don't blame her. Oh, whoops. He's gone. There we go. Yeah, he's and then so you look a bit tired. Say again?
Has any of them survived their death rolls yet?
No, I'm rolling death saves. This is the only one who's still alive. He's got 2 success, 1 failure.
I'm gonna go and I'm just gonna pitch my voice really, really low and just say, how do you think they were paying for their food?
Gold.
Is it inappropriate to take it?
Oh, for fuck's sake. She is Lana 2.0. Fuck.
Honestly, she doesn't really care for it, but she feels like that you guys do, so...
Oh, bro.
Okay, no, he has died. Roll some more death saves. I rolled 3 just to see, what would happen. He failed, and then would have got a nat 20 and stabbed you in the face, but he died by that point. So he, like, you watch him. You're like rifling through his pockets, and you feel him like sort of grabbing your wrist, trying to stop you, but he's weak. He's falling apart, and then eventually he's like palming at you, and then slowly just stops. You rifle through their pockets.
I didn't say I was going to.
Oh right, I thought you were just like trying to scare
I'm
him into.
it.
Okay, all right. As this is happening, as you're like sort of getting down and talking to them, this is Honu. You're rifling through the corpse of that dude. I'll tell you all what you find when it happens. Honu, and you hear. Coming from somewhere in the mist that is very quickly forming on your position. And you will see the windows begin to fog up.
Hono doesn't know what fog is, so he's going to try and go inside because what he doesn't know he doesn't like necessarily, so he'll probably just do the rummage as quickly as he can and head inside and kind of let the guys know that there is fog, there's noise, and that the guy outside had a like thorned rose like tattoo on his neck.
So you convey this information. Say again?
I was just telling them that the quote-unquote nice lady had said that it wasn't safe here.
And she, speaking of the nice lady, she comes over and she's like looking at just the carnage. I mean, one dude's been decapitated by a fucking giant wolf and is like looking at you like, okay, right, magic, I get it. And looking at all of you with like fire in her eyes, like, I told you not to kill anyone.
I mean,
You told me. You told me not to kill anyone. I haven't killed anyone.
As
none of us
she
killed them; they
says-
just died.
apart from those of you who killed them. 3 of them died from failed death saves. 1 died from a crit. 1 died because, and I quote, "I will extract my claws into his chest to finish him off." And the other one was decapitated by a direwolf. You all see, she says, "I told you not to kill them." And as she does, the fog begins to waft up to the window so you can't see almost anything on the outside. And the door creaks open, mist being let in.
Oh, I'm at the
like-
door.
Sorry.
So
No, the big door.
Oh, okay.
Ollie,
Okay.
Yep.
sorry.
the door-
Has Honu told us about the tattoo?
Yeah.
So you
yeah.
can have
Yeah.
conveyed that information.
Does that mean anything to me?
Yes, I will get back to you very soon if that's quite all right.
Okay.
As the door starts to creak open, can Lizzie just wave her hand and cast thaumaturgy to close it again?
Make a charisma check.
As they're doing that, I'm gonna use my dash to get over there. I can just about do it if I jump over some tables.
Okay, where are you running
No.
to, sorry?
The door to close it.
Okay. So the door begins to creak open. With your nat 20, one of them they like slam shut, and you feel like you're. Have you seen The Last Jedi? Star Wars: Last Jedi. Spoilers for Star Wars: Last Jedi if you haven't
I
seen it.
haven't seen it yet, so I'm gonna.
I've not
shake my
seen
head at
any
that.
of them.
Okay, I'll be vague. There's a scene in the movie where 2 people use the Force to fight over an object. It looks like that. The door like sticks halfway, like it's at a 45-degree angle, and you're trying to close it, and someone else is trying to push it. And you all hear from any windows nearby, any the now open doorways, just for even through the walls, just like skittering on the outside. And stepping through this main door, I say stepping, the mist as if a tide carrying a ship into harbour, a man glides in a long black cloak reaching down from just like a high, almost like a vampiric collar behind his head that is from the front resembles like a dark halo crested in gold around the edges. Appears to be bald, but you can't see his face. He is wearing a what is it, wooden maybe mask in that bears a very blank expression. If any of you have seen Avatar Korra, the Legend of Korra, the bad guy from the first season of that, he's got like a mask like that on, and he glides in, looks left, looks right, and gazes upon the corpses. And a voice, you're certain it comes from him, but you could also be just as convinced it is coming from a world beyond this one. You hear, every day our arrangement gets more and more beneficial, don't you think, Giselle? And she's just like stood staring at him. He, again, with the sound of just like a breeze through the air, drifts up. Let me see if I can grab a token. What's it called? I will have a look for that soon enough. He glides towards you all. As he does so, he comes up to a point where there is a table, chairs out in the way, and just you can't see any features of his apart from just this long black cloak and the mask. And from somewhere within the robe, you see a hand emerge and just like waft to the side. An entire table just moves 6 foot to the right so he can glide through without it getting in his way. Arrives at your group. and looks around at all of you very pointedly, and you can see his eyes through the mask. They are, you know, those Halloween contact lenses you can get where there's only pupil, and it's just like just white with a point of black in it. He's like looking at all of you, gazing around, looks down at you, Lizzie, and like looks curious but doesn't say anything, and then sort of centers himself again, and then looks down at the corpses, and like it's an almost inhuman way he's gazing at them, like his head cocks to the side in a rather disturbing fascination. And if he wasn't wearing a mask, you could swear he licked his lips and says, "Yes, these will do just nicely. I forget myself. I thank all of you. I hope we can. Well, we don't have an arrangement already, but in the future, I'm sure we can come to one. Look forward to seeing you again." And he like claps his hands, he, like motions with one hand, and from the door, like one of the windows at the back smashes, and through the doorways, goblins come scurrying in, and they don't have weapons drawn, and they don't seem like they're not battle crying. They seem oddly tame, scurrying towards you. Do any of you do anything to stop them at all?
Hanu just goes like, he doesn't go into his rage, but you can see again he kind of bulks, and he definitely gets ready to attack. Very confused by the fact that a seeming person, as far as he can tell, he has some sort of thing with goblins, which to him is unheard of.
Mm-hmm. It is unheard of to all of you. Like goblins they're somewhere between like rats and just like thieves. They are borderline just vermin. So the fact that they could be organized at all is difficult to imagine. Organized by an individual apparently is even stranger. And he like looks at you like I imagine you're like you're readjusting your grip on your weapon, like flexing, trying not to like freak out a little bit. And he looks at you and says, "Curious. What is your name, child?"
Me?
No, he's looking at Honu.
Okay, I just heard child.
Yeah. He's
It seems that first of all, you have me at a disadvantage without telling me your name first.
Oh shit.
His head sort of like he nods a little bit and says, "I suppose that is quite the case. I must apologize for not introducing myself before this. It's a shame we didn't have an arrangement prior. You all are new around here, correct?" And as he does this, he like floats towards Giselle, and you see a hand start to emerge from his robe. He says, "You don't know how things work. Well,
if he's going to touch her, I'm going to throw a dagger at him."
He doesn't like lash out. His hand's moving very slowly with like this almost unearthly grace. It almost to the point where like he is never not moving. Like there's no point at which where he stops. He just move, let go, hand back in, like there's no stoppage. He holds his hand out towards Giselle, and she's just frozen, like not by magic, but by just pure fear. And he holds his hand out, and she just like puts her hand out underneath it, as if against her own will. He lets go of something. His hand it lands in her hand. He draws his hand back into the cloak. "A pleasure doing business with you, Giselle. I hope our arrangement can continue further. It's been so profitable for the both of us. Come then, come then. And the goblins start they're grabbing by the ankles, just dragging these corpses outside, all out through the front door, and they're just dragging them across. There's huge streaks of blood being left behind them, but they almost elbow you out of the way, get out of the way. I've got a job to do, as they drag these corpses out through the front door. And this guy looks at all of you again, gazing left to right. He's really taking you all in as best he can, and he says, "You are adventurers, correct? In the business of killing for money."
We adventure for money, we kill for fun.
Dumb.
Then not only will this be beneficial for the both of us, but you will have I'll say it, an excellent time. He floats over to you and lets go of something midair, and it just drifts towards you. Coin floats towards you.
Towards me?
Yeah.
I don't touch it.
Okay, it floats past you and lands on the table next to you. It says, "I'm sure you will come to your senses soon enough." And he looks around and almost realizing that the corpses are all gone and says, "Thanks, all of you. I haven't had quite such a haul in some time. I'm glad you're staying. Look forward to our future engagements." And you hear one of them run up to one of these goblins, run up to him and he says, I'm afraid I must be away. Remember to grab the one that's out the back that our good turtle friend here dealt with. Goodbye, all. I'm sure we'll be seeing each other soon." Turns and just, and as if watching it in reverse, the mist begins to following him outside, sucked out of nowhere, and the windows begin to defog themselves, and you didn't even realize, but the candles and the torches that were around the room, all of a sudden the lights, they flare up back to where they originally were because the light had dimmed by his very presence. And Giselle just drops to her knees and begins crying into her hands. The door slams shut.
I'm not going to narrate this, but sorry. Go on.
Lizzie just says, "Is it just me, or does he seem like a bad guy?"
He doesn't seem like a nice person.
Swimming on the surface isn't natural.
Well, all I know is he was extremely rude. He asked my name. He didn't give me his name. He took the bodies. He was rude. And then he left.
Is Giselle still there?
Yeah, she's on her knees, just sobbing into her hands.
I'm gonna sort of walk up to her and just sort of place a hand on her shoulder.
She
and then
flinches as
ask
soon as you
her-
touch her,
and
but
ask
then
her,
looks up and sees it's you.
So who's your friend?
She taking a second. You see in her hands, what was dropped into her hands, there is a pile of coins. Make a perception check. They look like they're minted like gold coins, but they are blood red. And she looks up at you as if taken out of a stupor, like she's snapped back to reality, and says, "Why did you have to kill them?" And she begins crying again.
I would like to charm person and try again.
Okay. She doesn't have a bonus, so she can be a flat roll. She
Nice.
like centers herself and says, I understand you couldn't have known. He he is a he's been around these parts for some time. We didn't know who he was until well, we didn't know what he wanted. He was just a man in the woods until some weeks ago, months now, there was a killing, there was a fight in the streets, and not long after the bodies were, not long after they hit the ground, he arrived. Goblins showed up, took them into a cart. He paid us gold and left. We don't know what he wants with them, but I must be honest, I don't believe what he does want is good. Sorry, do you know anything about and like you can see she's got the word on her tongue, but she doesn't. It's like halfway between she doesn't want to say it and she doesn't quite know if what she's going to say is the right thing. The magic that would control the dead.
I take it I would be aware of what she's talking about.
Yes, the concept of necromancy isn't alien to you.
I'm just gonna sort of like nod my head and just like get her to carry on talking.
She like nods like as if taking your nod as like okay, right, so I'm on the right track, I'm not talking out my ass. And she says he is known as Morokai. The rumors around town state he's a necromancer who resides in the wood west of here. I don't know if there's much to his claim, but well, he certainly collects corpses, and I don't think anyone would do that for fun.
You mentioned something about an arrangement.
She looks down at the coins and says, I find it a sick description of what occurs, but I think on some level he believes that it is a fair transaction. I simply exist, and if I'm the nearest person, you understand, running a tavern, you tend to have any fights that do occur, they're going to happen at the tavern. So he sees me as responsible for the deaths, and by extension rewards me for my accretion of corpses. And she like puts that handful of gold into a pouch. I did never sign a lease. I never agreed to a contract. However, it seems that the reality of the situation is that
feedback.
Who is that background noise I can hear? Sounds like someone's dropped their phone down the toilet.
Stop.
Yeah, it's gone now. She says he believes it to be an arrangement. I believe it to be a sick joke on his part. And you see tears welling up in her eyes again. So the I'm sorry, it's been a long day.
Hanu would probably walk up to her by this point and place gently his hand on like her upper shoulder, and say, You mustn't feel responsible for what occurred. The people that we dealt with were clearly bad people. Their
This is gonna
death
speak.
was inevitable. Really, someday karma would have come for them. What
I have
happened?
no doubt you are right, Honu. But it is not karma that I am scared of.
Sounds like you need to get a better friend. That one doesn't seem very nice.
She like smiles towards you, says, "Yes, I don't." Sorry. And then she looks at you, and it's like, "Oh shit, child!" And she runs into the kitchen. Just
Did I say
up and gone.
something wrong? Lizzie's just kind of looking at the rest of the group.
Another child. Where did you come from, little one?
Oh, my best friend, he told me about you guys and said I should help you out when I saw you, that it was really important that I helped you.
What's this name of your friend?
I call him Thari. Other people call him other stuff, but I think the name's weird and long, so I just call him Thari.
Kind of, Hanu would look at Amun-Ra, like knowing that he's probably the only one that would probably know any kind of magic-y kind of related things. He's probably the most magical that he's seen and probably has known the longest in the room.
Right, if I'm going to help you guys out, if there's nobody here now, and at this point Lizzie will drop the illusion, revealing the image you see on the token.
Yes. If you'd like to describe the character for posterity's sake, just so there's no misconceptions, because it could look a bit weird.
Still roughly about the same height, clearly not human, a tiefling girl with dark gray skin, jet black hair that seems to almost absorb the light, but even more unusual is the glowing orange eyes. Beyond that, she's wearing a bomber jacket with a small pack and has almost shark-like teeth when she smiles.
Positively fiendish.
The direwolf will go up and sniff her.
It smells like
Good
sulfur.
copy.
I imagine, anyway. It smells like sulfur.
Probably.
I'm guessing in terms of Lizzie's race, it's not something that's wildly common, especially to Hanu.
Just like looking at her looks very strange. It's like someone was like, I don't know if you've ever seen that video of someone who puts their head in like an empty bag of coal, or where coal was for a barbecue, and then like shakes the bag for a little and pulls it out, like literally pitch black skin, right? And horns and glowing orange eyes. Like, no, I don't think you've ever seen someone who looks like this.
I mean,
At the very least,
there
not
will
in a
definitely
nightmare.
be curiosity over Hanu's face, but I mean, Hanu's seen himself in the mirror. I mean, he's no oil painting, but you know, he knows he's particularly strange in comparison to other beings. So he doesn't act obscurely. He's just more of a curiosity.
Mm-hmm.
And this creature, is he a friend of yours?
Oh,
Yes,
the mean one?
The furry one.
Yes. What is that?
The
I
direwolf.
don't know.
Mhm.
I thought he was with you guys, so I was told to help you guys out, so I helped him out too. Dari said it was really important that I help you guys.
Who Where did you come from?
From my mom.
No, really. Sorry.
You and
no,
Clarence would go on very well.
No, where do you usually live?
Wherever Thari tells me I need to be.
I'm going to go and inspect the wolf. I can't deal.
Okay. Yeah, you go over to the wolf. The wolf is fully a person. So the wolf can do. I'll let you describe.
Currently, the wolf is just standing there looking at everyone. Well, he's more retreated back into the corner and sitting down, looking at everyone.
Mm-hmm. But still in wolf form.
Oh, absolutely.
Mm. So you go over to this giant wolf again. Like when dire wolves aren't biologically wolves, they are like actually a different species. So they look like wolves, but almost caricaturish. Like the teeth are. It's like the difference between a tiger and a saber-toothed tiger, right? They are like more wolfy. Is the best way I can describe it. Just sat chilling,
and you say
licking blood off their
he's
lips.
like, sorry, is he still a direwolf?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, still got blood around the mouth from where he bit off the head.
Does the blood congeal in your fur and then stay on when you transform back?
What a thought.
Excellent question. I'm curious. Or does it just like it stays where it is, but when you turn back, it just like drops onto the floor?
He'll turn back now, and after it, you can see that there is just blood around his mouth.
Okay, so not transits. It's transitive. It stays relative to where it is. Okay, interesting. Some metaphysical implications there, but we won't get onto it.
I'm gonna go up to Lizzie and ask her what her friend's name was again.
I mean, I'm sorry because his full name's hard to say. I have heard some people call him other stuff though.
What?
Like,
Oh, I need to.
Is that an ice cream van? What I can hear?
that's probably Looney Tunes in the background.
All right.
I think somebody called him the Chained Oblivion.
Oh,
The what?
oh, you're just. I'm done. I'm done. I'm done. Not again.
Any one of you who has interacted with like the world, especially like in the sense of discussing the history of the world, i.e., anyone writing a historical document recounting the life and times of the people of Tal'Dorei, known as Gusar, would have heard of this guy and know that that's like saying, "Oh yeah, no, I worship Satan. What's wrong? No, I sacrifice babies. What's
Is that like a name that I would recognise, or like a
Oh
title I
yeah,
would
no, big time,
recognise?
big time.
Okay.
Wait, so this is actually a really interesting question. So, Nailin, you're an elf, so you like die at like 300 or 400 years old. How old are you now? Because you said you're equivalent in like your 20s, right? The elf equivalent
No,
20s.
she is 37.
Wait, sorry.
So
what
she's
did you
quite
just
young.
call- Sorry.
It's
What
like
did you
a
call the
teenage-
Chained Oblivion?
Sorry.
No, Ollie. What did you call the Chained Oblivion?
What do you mean? What did I call the Chained Oblivion?
You said otherwise known as.
What? Did I?
Yes.
Do you know what I said? Because I don't remember even saying the start of those words.
I'm gonna message you because I think I've just worked something out. Right.
Okay.
So weird.
I'm fully convinced someone's just come and fucking MIB flashlight wiped the memory of the last 30 seconds because I have no memory of saying otherwise known as. So Nailin, you say you're like 37, was it?
Yeah.
Okay, because I think they are considered like, you know, in America you'd be legally an adult at 21. I think that's at 50. I think so. You're like
It's at
the
100.
equivalent of like it's 100. Oh shit, yeah. So,
she's a
but
young
it's all a
teenager.
bit. It's all a bit like. Sorry. No.
Okay.
No,
Okay. Thank
sorry.
you.
Yeah. So you're like a teenager basically. 37 years ago, it's possible. Does anyone have memories for when they were like a child? And when I say that, I mean like when they were like 3 or 4, like really young.
I mean, he probably does. But that was only like 6.
Because I mean out of character because I'm trying to like would it be reasonable to remember a very very big day when you were 6 or less?
I mean, it's not uncommon.
I remember like very like moments from when I was like individual moments, like disconnected.
Yeah. So, Nailin, you have met the Moonweaver.
Oh.
Like literally, like they showed up at your temple once. Like, hey, how's it going? It's nice place you got here. Like actually met them, right? I imagine that was a bit strange. And it was probably like being in a Catholic school and like the Pope shows up and you're like, why are we clapping? Why are we waving at this old man? But since you've grown up, you've come to realize like, oh no, that was actually like a really big deal. So you've met the Moonweaver. So the relationship you have with the divine is like the normal times 10, right? There's a describing the relationship between people who've literally lived while the gods were on the plane and like a cleric in quote unquote modern times, for Tal'Dorei at least. Like they're 2 worlds apart. So you hear the Chained Oblivion, that is bad. That is like not bad, that's the worst. Like literally he is the worst thing ever. With no stretch, like there is a scale from plus 100 to minus 100. 100 is the best, minus 100 is the worst. Tharizdun is minus 101. The worst thing.
Do we all know this or
not quite? I don't think you would be quite as fervent about it as I'm sure Nailin is. I'll do daylight mode so you can just see everything. Get rid of this fanning about. So you're definitely not like you hear the name, it's very affront to you, but it's sketchy. It's like if someone said, "Oh no, I'm a Scientologist, but only like casually." Like, okay, someone's about to try and induct me to a cult. Like that's not something that normal people say. Get rid of all these bodies because they're not there anymore.
I'm so glad you came up with this character idea.
Get rid of that.
I mean, I think the minute that you mention a name, that title that she recognizes, Nailin is sort of just gonna slowly start inching away. Like, oh, okay.
When people stop immediately asking her questions, Lizzie will go back to staring at Amon-Ra like she's trying to figure something out.
Actually, wait, if I do this, there we go. Now everything's just plain and open, and it's not difficult for me to see what's going on.
Something
so
on your
Amon-Ra,
mind,
this fiendish child is staring at you, but I'll let you guys talk.
So seeing Naylin step away.
No, she's staring at Amon-Ra, not Naylin.
Yeah, no,
No,
that's
but
what I'm saying.
Naylin's
But
walking away.
Naylin has like shut herself off. She's like, was having a chat. You say that, and she's like, nope, just takes a step back, not asking questions, not answering questions.
Lizzie's used to people acting weird about her friends, so she doesn't exactly make a habit of hiding who it is.
She doesn't know that she should.
That's why she doesn't stay in one place for very long.
Something we should know about, Naylin?
Well, only that child there is best friends with a very bad guy.
Why did he want to help her?
Why does she
that's the
want to
main
help
question.
him?
Why have we got a mini helper?
So I'm just going to go around the group and double check and let everyone know what they know of, and I'm not going to say what they think of, but like the way you were introduced to the concept of Thrizadun. And also just to not get us back on track, but I'm also going to just say what you think of necromancy, because that's also quite relevant at the moment. So Honu, you might not have heard of him as the Chained Oblivion, because I don't think your people are big on titles. That's a personal thing. They're not like, Lord so-and-so, third of his name, King of Dunshire. Like, that's not, that's a very land dweller thing, right?
There's clearly only one sort of betrayer god that we would probably recognise as a people.
Is that for your, related to your backstory? Yeah. So you, at the very least, you've heard of the betrayer gods. It's impossible to hear about the betrayer gods and not hear about the Chained Oblivion. He was the one in charge, right? He was the betrayer before everyone else started betraying. I don't know if you know the story of like why they're called betrayer gods, but basically the world was it was difficult, and people lived and died, and they had to struggle and strife, and they started to like sort of almost what's the word? Not neglect, resent their creators for making them a world that was so difficult to live in, and they started to sort of dislike their gods to an extent. And in response, half of all the gods went, "It's okay, we understand they're struggling, we're going to help them get through this," and the other half went, "Oh, fuck you, we'll start from scratch, kill everyone, and start a new world where you won't complain." The ones who said that second thing were the betrayer gods, and that was Thrizadun's idea. He was the one to come up with the idea, like, hey, why don't we just destroy everything and start from scratch? Because he's a god of destruction, chaos, evil, murder, all the bad stuff. There you go. There's an excerpt from about the Chained Oblivion. It is darkness unending, less like a god and more like another world. Life and death do not exist within the Chained Oblivion, an engine of utter destruction and madness. Even the other betrayer gods treat this mad god with caution. In its endless imprisonment, it dreams the infinite depths of the abyss into reality, along with all its demonic legions. The prime deities had thought it locked away during the founding until it nearly returned to ruin the world during the conflict and the calamity. Now its chaotic mind has fallen into more frightful dreams, imagining nightmarish aberrations into existence deep beneath Exandria. The Chained Oblivion's demented cultists work without word from their twisted patron, awaiting the epoch of ends, when its freedom will be attained and all beings shall be consumed in deathlessness unending. I will not keep going because it's more about story, but you get the picture, right?
Well, I think the question is not why she would want to help him, but she mentioned
he's wanting us.
he wants to help us.
Oh, I'm so done with this. I hate gods. I hate these.
Hey, little one.
Yes, what's up?
Did your friend mention why you needed to help us?
He said it was important.
Well, you don't know who we are. We barely know each other. Strange how an outsider, if you be so bold, would want to help us with another outsider that we don't know. If you catch my drift.
Sorry knows lots of stuff.
I'm sure he does. Did he happen to tell you these things?
He told me how to make bad guys go away.
Mm-hmm. Did he say what would happen if you didn't help us?
She just stares at you blankly, like the combat of the concept is completely alien to her.
You hear the AOL dial-up noise.
Tell me, little one, have you ever harmed anyone just for the fun of it?
She has a bloody knife in her hand.
It doesn't mean she did it for fun.
I mean, getting rid of bad guys is kind of fun.
So we're in agreement that bad people need to be punished.
Oh yeah, bad guys need to go away.
Mm-hmm. And can you tell me your view of what a bad person is?
She seems to think on that for a moment before saying, people that harm me or my friends.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Well, I think it's safe to say that the child is clearly just following what her friend has told her to do. I don't think she's any cause for alarm, but perhaps if her friend was to tell her anything else, we should probably be told or be aware of such communication. Would you say that was fair, little one?
I guess so. I mean, unless he tells me not to tell you.
Mm-hmm. It's as fair as it could be, I guess. Astrid, your thoughts?
I don't really know much about this chained oblivion. Just that the name doesn't sound fun, and not someone I'd
To be
like.
clear, you've heard of them. You do know the name and know
Yeah.
it's bad, but not.
I just don't know much about it. Yeah. No, I'm. All I know, I just want a normal accent. All I know is that I just don't want to get involved with it. Yeah, that's all I need. I just the name alone. I'm not gonna lie. It's a no from me. Whatever they want, I want no part of it.
Well, we haven't been told that they want anything, just that this child has been so kind, if you like, to help us in a time of need. The child seems pretty friendly.
Child aside, personally, I don't think that there was much in the way of sympathy in helping. It wasn't, as much as I respect someone that came and helped in a fight. I would not personally say that the objective to help us is a kind objective. That says of keeping someone alive for a reason. Count me wary. But that's my opinion of the thing.
If you're about why he's helping, I can listen to meet him and ask him yourself.
No, I'm great. No thanks. No. I'm good.
That would be the
Oh, the
worst
thing is, I
possible
still
thing to happen.
Because
I mean,
that would require, just to butt in, to meet Thrizadun, that would require one of two things. One, being Thrizadun arrives on the material plane, which means everyone dies, or you go to the abyss, which means you die.
No, I'm great.
No.
I'm good.
In
Thanks.
either case, you die, but it's just either everyone dies or it's just you.
No, I just have to poke you and then you can meet him, like that guy. And she points at the guy who just fell over after she stabbed him.
A pass. Thank you very much.
Oh, that's boring. And then she goes back to staring at Amon-Ra.
Are you reacting to her very clearly having a pointed interest in you? Literally just like staring like, who's this dude? Not unlike the look that was being given to you by the bandits. Oh, also, let me get back to earlier. I said that you did recognize the tattoo. That is of a bandit group. They call themselves the Thorns, but they have been kind of like off the grid for a little while. But you have also been off the grid for a little while, so it could be, A or B.
I'm an idiot. I don't even know when I put the mute on, and I've been chatting away and getting really pissed off. No one's talking to me.
Oh, it does make me laugh.
Yeah, I'm ignoring Lizzie. Just finishing my drink.
So it looks like she's waiting for you to finish. But by now, you've had plenty of time. You can finish your drink, no problem.
I'm still just going to pretend to keep on drinking.
Also, for anyone who's curious, this is the ability I use.
I'm going to mute my mic for like 2 minutes, but I'm still listening. So feel free to talk amongst yourselves.
Amon-Ra, if you would like my drink, you're more than welcome to it.
Thank you, and I'll drink your drink too. I'm sitting at the table and drink everyone's drinks.
I think I dropped mine as I springboarded onto the table, so I still haven't drank ale yet. So.
Do you want some?
No, I'm fine. What about you, stranger? What's your thoughts on this?
Thoughts on which part? The bandits, the necromancer, or the child that apparently hears the chained oblivion?
The latter.
I mean, who she talks to is her own business. I'm sure when I was younger, I might have had an imaginary friend too.
You're gonna have to forgive me. I've forgotten. Did you share your names with us?
Oh, I'm Lizzie of Dunwich.
My name is Cartal. Nice to meet you. Well, officially.
Just a quick aside: is Dunwich a real place, or is that somewhere that Lizzie's made up?
I assume it was just some small town that got destroyed during the.
Yeah. I just wanted to make sure that it's not like a place you had literally invented to sound more like. Sorry, you as in Lizzie had invented to sound more genuine, I guess. But it is actually a place that you were actually from.
Yeah, no, it's
Cool.
This character is based off of a character named Lizzie of Dunwich, so I'm like, I'll just say the town was destroyed during the war.
Yep. Makes it easier. How about it was destroyed during the calamity, maybe by one chained oblivion.
There
Who
you
knows?
Or a mysterious
nice
fire.
little party. Yes, curious. Only survivor as a child who just so happened to not be in her bed that night. That's strange. So, the Giselle comes out of the kitchen, carrying her daughter. Fuck, where's my Excel sheet gone? Oh, damn it. One sec, lads. I'm going to move you back over to this map so I don't feel pressured into making tokens for all the people I'm about to introduce. So you see, oh dear. You see that Giselle comes out of the kitchen carrying Brecca and looks at you and says, "You're welcome to stay the night. Your rooms are tidied and have been waiting for you. We are going to bed." And she just goes upstairs. And not long after, like straight off behind her, a large male figure leaves from the kitchen, doesn't say a word, and just goes straight for the stairs. Everyone make a perception or insight check, whichever you prefer.
Oh boy. I have this thing on fire on both of those. Child insight, go. Oh, that was actually a really good roll.
So, Lizzie, you are looking at this guy and you're like, he's a bit stompy. He walks and he's stompy when he does it, and I don't like it. Katal, you're looking at this dude, he's not human. Absolutely no question. I don't know if you know off the top of your head what he is, but I'll tell you now, he's Goliath. He's like 7 foot tall. He's bigger than you, which I don't think is a thing that happens very often. And he's a cook, so he's wearing like a cook's apron and stuff. And he just like head down, just walks straight for the stairs, goes upstairs, and goes to bed.
I think we're also realizing that Kaito is. Did you say 6'5"?
Yeah, something like that.
So when Hanu is at full height, you're the same height as him, and that would probably be a very strange concept for Hanu to come across another human or a human that was like the same or similar height to him. But that being said, even though you saw him springboard onto the table, he actually now is probably about a foot shorter than he seemed earlier on.
By virtue of like retracting into your shell and stuff. Yeah, okay, cool. So, everyone, is there anything you would like to do with your evening? The bar is unattended downstairs at the very least.
Before he has a chance to leave, Lizzie's finally going to get tired of staring and ask Amon-Ra, "You got a friend like me, don't you?" Except he's going to hear it in his mind.
Holy shit.
Yeah, I'll reply. Oh, is this on?
Yeah.
Yes, it is.
Good. Yeah, I'll reply back into her mind. We all have friends that help us. Who's
Just
your
grins at that.
But my friend isn't. Is a different friend.
Yes, he's a good friend.
He's not the literal worst.
Isn't he?
I mean,
Well, I mean,
most
I'm
entities
saying
are probably
Armor's isn't.
What's that?
I say your one isn't the literal worst. At least as far as I'm aware, it's not. For Wizarding.
not in comparison.
Oh God, don't tell me. So yeah, is there anything you guys do, or you just like sort of trudge to bed?
Yes, if it's getting late.
Oh, I had something I'd like to do. Hang on, let me just find my point on my document.
Katal does not go to bed yet. He goes and gets himself another ale.
Okay. Yeah, you go into the kitchen. There's ale unattended, so you can
Is
can grab
Honu still in the room?
What in the
up to Honu.
in the bar? Yeah, I'm still. Yeah.
Wonderful. Wherever Naylin is, she's going to go over there. And I'm just gonna so Kay Honu gave me a skull of the gobby that I decapitated and made it into a belt. Does that mean anything in this culture? Should I be worried about this? Should I give him something in return? How long do I have to wear it to show my gratitude to this?
Well, I'm not well versed in his culture, so I think I'm the wrong person to be asking. Maybe he's just being friendly. Just trying to make friends.
That's nice, but how long should I wear it until I can stop?
Can I hear this conversation?
Hopefully not.
You may be able to tell that there is a conversation happening, but from that, I'm guessing it's not someone that could be easily overheard.
Okay.
You can have a go if you'd like.
What, to hear? No,
Yeah.
I mean, if you're not saying it out loud, I wouldn't actively try and eavesdrop.
I wouldn't say you'd have to wear it at all. Just keep it.
That seems rather rude, though. Just
You're
right.
it's
You're
not
much
your
nicer to me at all,
style.
are you?
Oh.
She's gonna walk off.
Sorry, what was that?
What a bitch. Fucking rude.
What happened?
Such a bitch.
Just walk away mid conversation.
Did no one get what I said before?
I didn't
I
hear
heard.
a bloody thing, and it scared me. It's just like all of a sudden silence, and you just go, "What a bitch!" Like, no, I missed it.
Oh, fuck.
Cool. That's me done for the night.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Before going to sleep, Hanu will just check over his shell in any reflective surface to see if anything new is on his shell.
There's a bit of gristle. Your time spent in combat and I don't say rolling around on the floor, but like when you go prone and in combat and stuff, like it has not gone untarnished. There is a bit of like grime on you, but it's not like your mark has grown or anything like that. No,
There's
it
no
is
new marks
staying
or anything like that. It's
consistent.
just
No, it's I don't know if it like it's one of them things that like it's like a tattoo, but it moves, but only every time you're not looking at it. It's like quite a mystical thing. Like every time you look at a painting, someone is looking in a different place, or their hands move slightly, but you never see it move. That sort of thing. If it's like that, then obviously it will have. But not there's not like another black spike, for example.
No.
It stayed as it was before, which I imagine is quite reassuring. Like, okay, it's not getting worse.
Yeah, sure. Okay. I kind of if I can reach her. Well, I do like the cartoon like shell turnaround, so I can actually reach, and I just brush off any grime and grit that I can.
Okay. Yeah, you go like into your shell and then pop out, and you're facing backwards. Clean the back of your shell, then zip, 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 and like go back in, turn, and come back out again.
I go to bed.
Okay, and you go to bed. So the night goes off. It's a bit cold, but there's no disturbances, and it's nice to be able to sleep and not have to set a watch, which you have been doing. Obviously, you're on the road recently. Are there any nighttime rituals or morning rituals in that case for when you wake up the next morning that you have to obey or you follow, or you guys just as you are?
Honu will, in a sense, kind of almost meditate in a way, but a lot of the words that can be heard from him aren't in his accent or in common. You can hear things like Hakuma Kinina Lisimunukae, that kind of chant rotation, but that's about it.
Okay, so it's very very tribal in a sense.
Yeah.
Like it sounds.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Cool. So you have your sort of your little moment. I don't know if you guys are all in separate rooms or if you're bunking up together to save a bit of money or what it is. But Amra, if you'd like to add 1 gold to your character sheet, you were given 1 coin by your friend. And again, that 1 gold piece that you were given is blood red and completely untarnished, as if it had never changed hands before. So when you get a brand new £5 note.
I didn't pick it up.
I didn't realize
you didn't pick it
picked
up?
it up.
I didn't pick it up.
Okay, then it stays there. So you wake up in the morning, head downstairs. There isn't a breakfast. As I said, they've run out of food, and the Giselle isn't behind the bar, like waiting for people to come down to greet them. It's the Goliath man who you saw exit from the kitchen. He looks very reserved, and he's like not looking at anyone, head down. Anyone who does talk to him, he's very short with. But otherwise, everything seems weirdly okay.
Is there a pool of blood on the floor?
Yes, yeah. It looks like
Lizzie-
they've attempted to clean it as best they can, but there's still like a splotch.
Lizzie would like to just spend the morning going around and repeatedly casting prestidigitation to clean that up.
To clean it up? Oh, that's very nice of her. No problem. Yeah, you do that. And they are at first. They like he sort of. You see, he's like, stop that, but then realizes that you're doing something actually quite helpful. So he stops and allows you to continue. So clean us all 1 cubic foot. Yeah, it only takes you like 5 minutes, if that, and you just and just get rid of these splotches of blood. Otherwise, everyone, what are you guys doing in the morning? I know you've got the goblin ears you want to cash in, but
I do a full-on hacker.
okay, right, interesting.
But from without the words, so I'm almost like miming it, like almost like practice.
Okay, right. Interesting. Interesting. Are you doing it in
It's
your
almost
room
like
or
limbering up.
in
You
the...
know, when you limber up, you kind
Yeah,
of stretch
yeah.
your muscles or whatever. He's
Get
kind of
yourself
almost
hyped for the
doing
day.
that, but it's clearly a hacker.
Okay. Right. Okay. Yeah. Sure. So you do a hacker. Do you do it like downstairs in the?
Oh yeah, downstairs,
in the area where
just
everyone is?
just before breakfast.
Sure. Yeah. You get some weird looks, but no one stops you. Otherwise, so you guys have breakfast. Again, it's not provided by the Reluctant Pigs. They don't have the resources, unfortunately.
Could Astrid have gone down to the river early in the morning?
Absolutely, yeah.
Both a swim to catch fish to eat, and then catch some fish to bring back to the tavern to apologise for last night.
Okay, yeah. So make 3 attack rolls with your weapon of choice. I imagine it's trident.
I don't have a trident.
I had it in my head that you used a trident because you're from the sea. Is it racist?
A little bit.
So you 3 attacks. Yeah, so you don't get every fish that you see, but you're pretty good. I mean, you understand how the movement works underwater, and you understand like how daggers work underwater. So you are very proficient. Since you have to go really early, you know what time fish are awake. You have to go really early in the morning, like 4 or 5. And you're not the only one there. There's like 1 or 2 other people by the bridge. One of whom is Ashy Pete, and he's basically just got like a stick and a string, and a hook, and he sees you as you're like fishing, and he waits until you've like just caught one and says, "It's a good morning for it, isn't it?" And like nods to you.
Quite. And then I'm going to catch another fish and throw it to him.
He is very slow, and it just hits him. And he goes, "Oh, okay." Thank you very much. I guarantee you, I won't be catching much for myself today. So it's nice to make sure I'm going to have lunch. And he like pats his belly.
Do you know who I picture every time you talk about Ashy Pete?
Oh god.
Oh, who's the fat one, the fat toy from Toy Story 2?
Oh my god. Well,
Stinky
it's funny
Pete.
you say that. His name is Stinky Pete, and he is a miner who I based his character off Stinky Pete. That's not a lie. I genuinely did. I only realised I did after the fact, but the idea of a prospector miner named Pete who has an adjective for a first name, who
the prospect.
I mean,
the prospect.
yeah. He's not that pot-bellied. He's a bit lankier. He looks like he's played by.
Kelsey Grammer.
Okay, no, that one is played by Elsie Grammer. Jonathan Price with a Y. He plays the High Sparrow in Game of Thrones. He's like that, but without the murderous urges. Because if I remember correctly, he's the bad guy from he's the bad toy from the film. Yeah, he's a proper shitbag. But you you make this staggering realization, breaking like 18 different walls in the process. Because you didn't just break the wall of this game, you broke into real life and then broke into another game of mine where I invented Ashy Pete. You've gone 8th dimensional. Right, so you're like, you are asleep at the time, but you have a dream of Ashy Pete being a psychopathic toy trying to. I can't remember the plot of Toy Story 2. I'm not even going to try. Also, just an aside, has anyone seen Toy Story 4?
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
Fucking hell, it's really good. I watched it the other day. Oh man, alive! It broke me.
Oh no, I cried for 20 minutes of Coco the other day. I'm not going to do that again.
Just I'm not going to spoil it, but the end of the film is so heart-wrenchingly sad that I am genuinely convinced after production ended, they went in and made the post-credit scenes to try and make people less depressed. That like the ending is that heart-wrenchingly awful that the people who the producers watched it and were like, we can't leave it on that. That is bad. We are going to get sued for emotional damages. So they went back and made post-credit scenes. I'm certain of it. Absolutely certain of it. It's awful. I was crying 2 minutes in, dude. Anyway, sorry. Just get that off my chest. I've been told by my therapist I need to talk more. So you Wake up, you do your fishing, have a nice little chat with Ashley Pete. He doesn't have much luck. He gets like 1 or 2 and they're a bit dinky, but they're enough to feed him. So he's glad to have the one that you sort of hit him with. And you head inside, you have breakfast for yourself and a couple of other people. The owners eat the fish as well, are very thankful for it, but they don't come downstairs. The cook / husband / co-owner, the Goliath man, he like thanks you wordlessly, like nods, goes in the kitchen. You hear him cooking the food for you, his wife and his child, and then he goes upstairs, delivers the food to them, comes back downstairs and like watches the place. You notice no one comes in.
I mean, if there's fish,
there's no
Hanu
arrivals.
will
yeah.
like be like a dog like after a treat around Astrid, literally just be like over her shoulder, like really edging, like.
You gonna eat all that? You gonna eat all that? You gonna eat all that?
Is that fish? I can see. Is that what kind of fish?
Hey, how's it going? How's it going, Ashton? Quick, we're really good friends, yeah? This is a bit forward, but if you would give me a bit of food, it wouldn't be fair. So yeah, I mean, as far as I'm aware, you're all, I won't say feeding each other, but Astrid, you're not going to say no, fuck off, even when you have enough food to feed everyone with your roles. But
Lizzie will go ahead and finish off the half-eaten mouse in her inventory.
Ew.
Nice.
And the urchin background comes with a pet mouse, so she put it to use.
Came with a pet mouse.
Oh, brilliant.
That's what I wish I did with my mouse.
Kartal is probably getting back in from his morning run.
You say he's got
you're
tattoos.
One of those people. You're one of those
has-
people. Goes on runs in the
What kind of
morning.
tattoos are they? Would Hanu recognize any of the markings?
Well, probably they are very tribal. Yeah, it seems that you and I had very similar ideas for characters.
So the markings on Hanu's shell are very. We kind of translated from our own idea. So they are Hawaiian. In terms of like their appearance and some of the symbolizations of what they represent. Very much like if you like the I forget the name of the character now.
If you say Maui from Moana,
yeah, it is.
I'll
get the screenshot of the message you sent me where you said you wanted to be Maui from Moana.
Yeah. I mean, but they're on his shell only, and they kind of, you can tell if that's kind of what yours represent, that these tell a ancestral story of Hanu's heritage. But there is one of the spikes that is a bit more darker in color, and you don't, I assume you don't understand or are able to translate any of it.
Yeah. So while all the tattoos you can read, they're not like literally in Aquan, but it's like they are symbols that you would recognize that are tied to Aquan culture, people who live by the sea, and that sort of thing. So I'm sure Astrid sees this as well. But that one black, like, imagine on the back of a turtle, like every single like hex was like had a different pattern going on. That one like black one it's like chocolate and cheese. It's completely different. I don't know what languages you know, but it, at the very least, it looks weird.
Draconic,
from
at least.
Yeah, if you know Draconic, you'll be able to read it. But like it's like looking at the difference between English and Chinese. It's completely different, like writing system and everything.
Yeah, well, my guy's tattoos. So he's got one on his face, which is kind of like a mask, which is his. That's the one which shows his family, a little bit of his family heritage, just where he comes from, and then the ones on his arms show parts of his history, his personal history.
Okay, it's good to know.
That's why there's not too many yet.
Hmm. Is the your face tattoo, is it like full face tattoo, or is it like just your just like the forehead, or what? Because I'm did some like looking into what Maori face tattoos look like, and they typically they cover at the very least like the center of the face, but I don't know if yours like is of any, like if there's one image you saw that that you were like, oh, that's it, that's what one look like, sort of thing.
No, I'm kind of basing it on the art that I found for the character. So it's the jaw.
Oh, okay, gotcha. Yeah.
So yeah, like jaw up to nose. So it's kind of that straight line area and everything below.
Yeah, cool. Because yeah, the tattoos are really fucking interesting. Just want as an aside. So you're having this chat, like sort of, say, oh, this tattoo means this. Oh, well, this tattoo means this, and you're like, chatting to each other about it. And it's quite nice to see like a kindred spirit. Imagine both of you are very far from home. So your day, like as I said, no one's coming in, and it's very much like there's nothing to do in a sense. Like you're sort of up in the air. There's some Ulbrich is still around. I completely forgot he was there. He went to bed immediately upon arrival, so that's fine.
How does he
That's
look
that
now?
plot thread. He looks like he has slept in a actual bed, and he's much better for it. Before he was either sleeping like on the way back, slept on the road, and before that he was like, you couldn't even call it sleeping. He was just unconscious, right? And he just the ability to wash up and sleep in a comfortable bed and stuff. It doesn't like literally make him healthier, but he looks healthier because it's like sort of giving him a better headspace about it. Like he's more comfortable because he's able to do this.
Well, I guess if is business operating as normal outside the tavern now, or is it still
no
a bit too early?
no one's come in. You can go out and check, but there's no one's come in at the very least.
Okay. I guess I think it may be time that we cash in on our reward for the goblin ears, and then we can come back and find out why exactly they didn't kill you. And he kind of points his head motion to Ulbrich.
Yeah, he sort of nods. He says, "Yes, I am most curious as well. It's well, I'll be honest. My first question was why the orcs weren't there as expected, and it was goblins. But now, judging from the things we saw last night, it would seem that we know where the goblins are. Well, at least who's in charge of them, shall we say? Seems we've got a proper mystery afoot.
This individual don't spring any light bulbs in your mind?
What is a light bulb? He thinks for a second. He says, "I know of many evils in this world. This one is not. His name Morokai is not anything unique to me. It's not special. Just another name of the many villains who plague this land."
Mm-hmm. Well, you think on it, and we'll be back in a while. Who's gonna claim this bounty for these ears with me?
Looking at the rest of the group.
I'll come with you.
Mm-hmm.
When you do, half of them are not exactly goblins' ears. Might be worth trying to chap them up when you go to give us the money for it.
What are they?
We've got
5 of
12
the doggy
goblins
gobbo,
and then
yeah.
5 of the gobbies.
Yeah, so
dogs.
Okay.
17 in total, isn't it?
Yeah, if you can persuade them.
Well, you seem to be a bit more charismatic than I. Let's go on, Nora.
After you, sir.
Head over to the bounty office.
Okay,
If you
you
like.
head over. So you step outside, and I mean it's literally like over the other side of the courtyard. I will set this to day mode. Da 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 da. So it's literally like over the other side of the thingy.
The dogs that we've got the ears for, are they common creatures?
Goblin dogs, they are as common as goblins are.
So they're going to know what they are.
Well, it's not that they might not know, but it's like they are similar biologically, so it might be easy to tell. Like, you know, you might be able to convince someone that a dog ear is a wolf ear, for example. Like, oh no, it's just they just happen to be a bit weirdly shaped. So they know what goblin dogs are, but it's the possibility you might be able to pass these off as goblin ears because they are quite similar anatomically. Yeah, I've just seen the time, Nick. Don't worry. So you head over to the town master's hall. So let's just be upfront about it. Deception check. Whoever is going to try and swindle these people.
Is Honu aiding me in my deception?
Oh yeah, I'd totally be like, take a look at these goblin ears. I'm sure the reward is plentiful.
Legitimate goblin ears. Nothing wrong. Nothing to see.
Go for it. Advantage 24. The attendants looks at them. Yes. It's basically Isabel from Animal Crossing. Goes through it all and says, "Well, yes, this is quite all right. Yeah. So, how much do I owe?" And she like sort of pens through. You've got like the little slip of paper, right, that says 2 silver per goblin ear.
Something like that.
So how many do you have in total then? With 6 normal, 5 dog. Right at the top, start of the session, I think.
It's 5 dog, 12 goblin.
Damn. Okay, yeah. 17 times 2, 34 silver pieces. So 3 gold, 4 silver.
Can I ask if there is a bonus for clearing out a whole cave of goblins?
Oh wait, there was a
Make a-
bonus for the big one.
You're not there.
Bugger. I'm not. Shit.
You would have conveyed that information to make sure to get the bonus that you killed the boss man, because that was like the thing they said. Oh, and if you can prove that you like cleared somewhere out, you killed the biggest one, then yeah. So with that deception check, I'll roll that over for basically a persuasion. You are able to convince her the truth of the matter, which is that you did clear a place out. You're able to describe where it was. You're able to describe, like how you found where it was, A, B, C, D. You go through all the description, and she is thoroughly convinced. And you get an extra 1 gold bonus.
Ooh.
So 4 gold, 4 silver. If you were to divide that up between the people who actually did the fighting, I'm sure you can do the math. That's 1 gold, 1 silver each. Also, Unra, when you put your gold away, one of the top of your gold pouch is blood red.
For fuck's sake.
No. No. I'm going to go outside. I'm going to dig a hole.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to bury it.
Okay. You bury it.
Sweet. It's going to come back, isn't it? Fuck it, I'm just going to spend it.
Do I see him freaking out?
You probably see him like flinch when he opens his little his coin pouch. Like, shit. But That could be just be like, oh wow, that's empty.
Yeah.
Up to
Oh no, I'll tell her now. I say that fucking gold piece is here. I don't want it. Do you want it?
Not particularly. Is it worth anything?
It's worth the gold.
can
Is
we
it worth
spend it?
anything?
it's gold.
But red.
Mhm.
Can I
Does
go
the
into
red
the
rub
shop?
off? I'm not touching it.
You look at it. You can sort of like, rub it with your foot, like between your boot and the ground. It does appear to just be red gold. If you were to go, where are you going to spend it?
I'm not going to spend it. I'm going to go back into the bounty hut and just ask if they'll exchange it for a gold piece.
She sees it and like her face drops a little bit and says, "Oh,
I didn't want it. I didn't even pick it up. It's just appeared in my.
yes. Of course, yes. It is. Yes. We will exchange that." And she exchanges gold for gold.
Thank you. Can I ask her about it?
Mhm.
Because I say to her like it floated over to me, but I didn't pick it up. But this morning it's in my pouch. Like, what is it? What's
They are well, we're not exactly sure how they work. They're rather supernatural beings. But from what I understand happened last night, I imagine you had a visit from the masked man.
Yes, that is correct.
Whenever he collects a body, he leaves one gold piece in exchange.
But my concern is I didn't pick it up.
Rather difficult to get rid of.
Is that why it appeared? So okay. Is it done with me now?
Provided it's in someone's possession, I believe there would be no merit. It would make no sense for him to give people money that could never be spent.
Understood.
He just has to. Someone has to have it. And if that is cool with everyone, we've got. That's everything I've planned for you guys. Do you guys know what you're going to do next session, or what you're planning on doing in the near future? Just so I know in advance, obviously, and that sort of thing.
Gonna kill that dude.
Oh yeah. So when you say near future,
next session, I'm gonna track him down.
Okay.
Cool.
Yeah, no problem. You can definitely try that.
Thanks.
I will tell you now, he is not difficult to find. You just have to know what you're looking for.
I thought you were going to say he's not difficult to kill, and I was like, that's surprising.
Yeah, all he did was move some chairs and shit out of the way. That's like one spell, telekinesis. It's easy. It's mage hand.
I mean, I've got a ring that does that.
Yeah, easy. Oh, I finally found a piece of art that's going to do him justice. Ignore the skeletal fingers. He is very much flesh and blood. Have a look at that bad boy. Literally, this entire session been looking for a fucking picture for him. My search history is like D&D masked necromancer, D&D masked mage art, mage with mask on, over and over and over again. That one does it nicely, apart from the talons, but that is what it looks like. Also, kind of like a dragon priest from Skyrim. Those of you who play the game, which is everyone by this point. So, if that is cool with everyone else, that is my pleasure. So, as I said, next session, do you guys know what you're going to do? Apart from obviously kill the bad guy.